June 14th. The time is 10:06 a.m. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Oscar Puig Corvée.
Here.
Councilwoman Maureen Porras.
Here.
Councilwoman Digna Cabral.
Present.
Vice Mayor Rafael Pinedo.
Present.
Mayor Christie Fraga.
Present.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Oscar Puig Corvée. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now please bow your heads while we hear the invocation by Father Mago.
Good morning. Mr. Richard gave this to me. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Almighty and eternal God, in you we trust. As we begin this meeting, we want to place ourselves under your divine guidance and protection. Help with your Holy Spirit those who serve in this community and those who own businesses in this city, that our affairs might be conducted in righteousness and be useful to the people they serve. May this city council be always an example of humility and integrity, so that through their actions we may see your living presence around us. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Gracias, Padre. Thank you, Father. Agenda order of business, Madam Manager, City Manager's Office.
I don't have any items to pull.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk.
Well, from the City Attorney's Office, we would like to pull item 6B, which is related to the elected official insurance. It's a resolution. If we could move it to after, I believe it's item 21E, which is repeal of the elected official pension ordinance.
What item was that? I'm sorry? 6B?
6B. So that'll be moved to the evening session because it's only pertinent if the repeal passes.
Okay. Any of my colleagues have items they would like to defer or pull?
Yeah, I would like to pull a few.
Okay. Councilwoman Cabral?
Would like to pull C,
C, what? I'm sorry, Madam Councilwoman?
6C. Also, I would like to pull 6K. Also, N and V.
N and what?
V.
And V?
It will be then C, K, N, and V, like Victor.
She would like to pull item 6C, K, N, and V. Madam
Let me
Clerk, we
check
will
if I
hear
have-
that.
Let me
I have it.
check if I'm missing any other. No, that's it.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we will hear these in the morning agenda
At the end of the discussion items.
at the end of the discussion items.
Yes, ma'am.
However, I would like to, in that case, move up my city, my mayor's report, because there will be a presentation. There are people here for that. A quick check presentation to Parks and Police for Kids. So if we could move that up, then I guess after,
Presentations?
yeah, we could do that before discussion items, if that's okay. Just so I don't have him here all day.
No problem.
Okay, anybody else? All right, if there are no other deferrals at this time, we'll move on to public comments. At this time, we will open up the public comments portion of this meeting. Please use the allotted 3 minutes to come up and state your case to this council. Please be respectful, refrain from using individual names when possible. We are going to be calling up those who have filled out these cards. If you haven't filled them out, please fill them out when we call you up. Please state your name and address for the record. We'll start with Mr. Richard Glustak. Good morning.
Richard Gluckstead, 4768 Northwest 114th Avenue. Mayor, could you hold up the present that I gave the council so they could see it? Appreciate it, yes. Yes, these are balls. I thought that it would come in handy once in a while for the council so you could make better decisions. I'd like to start out saying that the worst ruler is one who cannot rule himself. That's by Cato the Elder. I'm going to talk about critical thinking. Critical thinking is the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. It's the assessment and exploration of available facts, evidence, observations, and arguments in order to form a conclusion by the application of rational, skeptical, and unbiased analysis and assessment. And this city, as well as many others, are really lacking in the ability to have critical thought. George Orwell said that they fear love because it creates a world they cannot control. Another saying by Plato was, "No one is more hated than the one who speaks the truth." Today I'm going to talk about the parking. This is an email from one of the merchants in downtown Doral. And she writes, "Our clients are having a very difficult time with the parking registration. Parking in the back, the internet in the area is terrible. And in addition, many of our elderly patients don't even have a smartphone. Are you guys contemplating setting up a machine where the patient can pay for parking?" By the way, this was sent to the Codina group. "We have several patients walking out of the office because parking has become such a hassle for them. Besides, I've had several, including myself, that registered for the 2 hours and still got charged the $2 after leaving. I did it myself to test it and got charged." And then she talks about other things. For example, one person came in at 11 and wasn't seated till 11:45. First, they had to move the vehicle due to the lack of signs. Then they finally park in the back and the app is not working, or because the internet signal are not being able to register. We tried with our own iPad and still no success. The patient had to go park on the street. Luckily, he found a parking spot. That was in November. Still, the Codina group doesn't do anything. So I have a sign here. Codina Partners says on their stationery, "Leaving communities better than we found them." So I put a question mark, and then I put, better for who? The answer to that question is Armando Codina. Now, the city doesn't even have this thing with tickets. There's no prices anywhere. There's no signage, no prices, no codes. They don't say the minimum, the maximum, nothing. People are getting ripped off and confused, and they can't park and they're getting tickets. I know somebody on the council that got a ticket. Now, if you want to get in touch with them, I'm almost finished.
Mr. Glusat, we're gonna give you 30 more seconds, okay?
This is it. Denise Irwin. Contact dirwin@codina.com. 305-592-0681 or 569-2217. So my question is, where is our city when we really need them? To me, they're absent.
Thank you, Mr. Glutzak. Would anybody else like to come and speak in public comments? Now would be the time. Being no additional comments, we will close the public comments portion of this meeting. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that no one else has chosen to speak at this time. And now we will move on to the consent agenda. Before we go into consent agenda, my apologies, but I did mean to bring this up before we moved on to public comments as well. There is a lay down item for a proclamation that is going to be done today with the proclamation that's on the agenda for the Girl Scouts. One of the additional founders, we'd like to recognize the two founders. I will go ahead and give this to the clerk to pass out. It's for Maria Alejandra Moreno. So we'll pass it out. If everyone's okay, we need a motion to have the lay down item proclamation.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pinedo, second by Councilwoman Porras. We'll wait for the clerk for a second. That's okay. Take your time. No problem.
It was Vice Mayor Pinedo and Councilwoman Porras.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry about that. Thank you very much for reminding me.
Motion to approve the laid down item made by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinedo? Yes. Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Councilwoman Puig Corvée?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Mayor Fryer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. And now we will have a motion for the consent items. Madam Clerk, would you please state which are the items that will be passing on consent?
Yes, Mayor. It'll be all of the items on Section 6, excluding items 6B, 6C, 6K, 6N, 6V, and also adding the proclamation that was just laid down.
Thank you very much. I need a motion.
Second.
Motion to approve by Vice Mayor Pinedo, second by Councilwoman Porras. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect that there are all ayes. Now we need an approval of the minutes.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Vice Mayor Pinedo, second by Councilwoman Porras. Madam Clerk? Actually, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Okay, we will move on to presentations.
First item, item 8A, Keep Doral Beautiful Business Award.
Code Compliance Director Edgar Estrada to do the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Manager.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, Madam Manager, Deputy Manager, Madam Attorney, Madam Clerk, and members of the audience, Edgar Estrada, Co-Compliance Director. This month, we are pleased to recognize Bank of America for their outstanding commitment to keeping Doral beautiful. The property for which they're being recognized for is located at 7250 Northwest 107th Avenue. This branch of Bank of America has been in the city of Doral for 15 years. This property is approximately 36,000 total square feet, and the company has 10 employees. Bank of America is one of the world's leading financial institutions, serving individuals, small and middle market businesses, large corporations, and governments with a full range of banking, investment, and other financial risk management products and services. Some of the recent improvements include remodeling and repainting the exterior of the building, landscape maintenance on a bi-weekly schedule, and routine pressure cleaning of sidewalks and walls. It is with great pleasure that we name Bank of America for the Keep Doral Beautiful Business Award for their continued efforts to keeping Doral beautiful. And Madam Mayor and Council, here to accept the award is the Financial Center Manager, Elizabeth Santiesteban. If she can come on up. Hi, Elizabeth. Here's the award.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I've actually been with Bank of America 16 years, so it is a great pleasure to actually work first time in Doral and being such a beautiful city. We're very honored to be part of the community. That's what we strive for, and what we work for very hard is to work with our customers. So it is my honor to represent Bank of America today and receive this award. We are very excited to have been nominated and being picked, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Would you like to come up for a photo?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for continuing to keep Doral beautiful. We'll move on now to item 8B, 2022 Employee of the Year presentations.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to call up Maria Jose. She's going to be doing the presentation, our HR director. I just wanted to say this is a good opportunity to recognize all of our employees. The city of Doral has amazing employees in and out, from the boots to the ground to the ones behind the computers. Everybody does such a wonderful job. This is just an opportunity to recognize some of our annual Employee of the Year for each department. I know Maria's going to go into it, but just wanted to thank everyone for doing such a great job.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, City Manager, Deputy Manager, City Attorney, Madam Clerk, everyone else, welcome. It is my distinct pleasure, my name is Maria Jose, HR Director for the City of Doral, to present the 10 Employee of the Years for 2022. They have been recognized for going above and beyond to highlight their success and contributions for the city. It's in great appreciation that we welcome them here today. If I could ask the mayor and council to come down so they can congratulate them. And as I call each department, I will be calling the employee. The director will come up, present the award, take a quick picture, and that way we can highlight what they were chosen for. Oh, we are so quick. Okay, without further ado, for the building department, the Employee of the Year for 2022 is Mr. Danilo Brito. Danilo has been with the city since 2005. He serves as the city's chief plumbing inspector. Danilo is an integral team member and exhibits the qualities of the department's mission through his professionalism and commitment. Congratulations to Danilo. Okay. The first one is always the hardest. Congratulations again, Danilo. The next department is Code Compliance, Ms. Nicole Villalba. Nicole serves as Code Compliance Officer 3 and has been with the city since 2018. She has proven to be one of the most consistent and reliable employees in the Code Compliance. She is proactive in her duties and provides excellent customer service to our Doral community. Congratulations, Nicole. Go back, go back. You got it?
Yeah. Look over here, please. Look to the center. Thank you.
Congratulations again. Finance, Alfred Pereira. Alfred has been with the city since 2021. He currently holds the position of accountant. Alfred is an outstanding employee. His accomplishments and work ethic makes him a true star. Oops, sorry.
Over here. Thank you.
Congratulations, Alfred. For the Human Resources Department, I'll be right up, it's Ms. Jeannie Espinal. Jeannie serves as our Human Resources Generalist since 2021. She exercises a high level of professionalism and has built strong relationships throughout the city in order to provide efficiency and accuracy. Her dedication makes her an outstanding contribution to the HR department. Hold on.
Now we have everyone from HR. Big smiles. Front and center. Great, thank you.
Congratulations, Jeannie. Next is the Information Technology Department, Mr. Dario Montiel. Dario serves as our data integration engineer since 2019. Dario's hard work and technical expertise have made a significant impact on our projects and initiatives. His exceptional problem-solving skills deliver high-quality work and respect from his colleagues. Congratulations. Congrats again. Only 5 more to go. Next is Parks and Recreation, Mr. John Posada. John has been with the city since 2008 and serves as Assistant Park Supervisor Maintenance. He has excelled and gone above and beyond his required job responsibilities. He has been a long-standing employee with the city, and his knowledge and positive attitude are key attributes. Congratulations. Our next department is Police. Officer Antonio Roman is the Employee of the Year. Antonio serves as an officer since 2020. His actions and commitment throughout 2022 have been exemplary. Officer Roman is motivated by nothing more than his sense of duty and has set an excellent example through his service and professionalism. Congratulations.
Right in center, please. Right over here. Thank you.
Right here, please. Thank you. Congratulations again. Our next department is Planning and Zoning, Javier Puello Irizarry. Javier has been with the city since 2022 as a planner. Javier demonstrates skills and dedication to all assignments and projects. He has contributed knowledge and creativity to the planning and zoning team. We are fortunate to have him as a part of the city for these reasons. Congratulations.
Right in center, look right over here.
Next is Public Affairs, Ms. Carla Fernandez. Carla serves as the Administrative Assistant for the Public Affairs Department since 2021. She is consistently efficient and dependable, with an unwavering teamwork mentality. She is patient and professional and a valued member of the Public Affairs team. Congratulations, Carla.
Right in the center, front and center. Big smiles. Thank you.
And last but not least, by any means, is Public Works, Noel Suarez. Noel has been with the city since 2006 and serves as our crew supervisor for the Public Works Department. Noel has a positive disposition and a can-do attitude with any task at hand, often performing ingenious solutions to problems in order to save money for the city. His dedication does not go unnoticed. Congratulations. That's it. With that, we would like to congratulate all 2022 employees of the year and thank them for their unwavering service and dedication. Thank you.
Okay. Let's give a second for everybody to clear out and go back to work. Okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Manager, and to all the department directors as well as the employees for recognizing the employees of the year. We'll move on to item 8C, ACOM's quarterly report on bond projects. Sorry, Connie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have George Garcia with AECom, our project manager.
Hello, good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, City Clerk, City Attorney, City Manager, Deputy Manager. I'd like to, City Manager mention, my name is George, I'm the Program Manager for the Parks Program, Bond Program. And I'm going to be giving the quarterly report. Technically, it's a little bit more than a quarter, going back to January and through today. So the last update that we gave was in February, but I'll go quickly over January. I think most of you hopefully have gotten a chance to visit the site and seen the construction. If not, we can set that up for you. It's good to see it in person to get a better grasp of the tremendous progress that we've made over the last couple months. In January, the picture on the left is the main water tie-in at 87th. Do you see the picture on the top right is the rec center. Foundations for the perimeter walls have been poured. CMU masonry walls started to go up. Amphitheater PAL foundations have been set. Sports lighting throughout the park was installed. And some electrical and plumbing rough-in at the Phase 2-3 restrooms have been installed. At any point, if you guys have questions, you stop me and I'll give a better update. So I think I might have skipped one, no. So moving on to February. In February, the rec center slab on grade was prepped. The rec center concrete columns and beams were poured. Amphitheater foundations were poured. And aquatics facility start for deep soil mixing began. I'm just going through some of the major milestones that happen each month, but a lot more. We've made tremendous progress over the last couple months. So in March, the rec center slab on grade was poured. Structural steel install began. I'm sure you've seen the large cranes out there. Continued amphitheater foundations and continued the deep soil mixing at the aquatics facility. So in April, we began work on the second level of the rec center, the structural steel work. Concrete deck was formed and poured. Amphitheater pedestals were poured, which is part of the foundation, starting to go vertical with the amphitheater. Aquatics pools were excavated, and the skate park work began, forming the ramps. So sorry, that was kind of like a quick recap through April. Coming into May is much closer to where we're at today. So this photo was taken in May. This is the aerial from the rec center. As you can see, we've made a tremendous progress. The steel joists for the high roof are complete. Steel beams for the windows are being installed. Level 1 electrical conduit and mechanical hangers began install. And metal decking for the high roof is being installed. So this is May continued. Skate park ramps are starting to be poured and take form. Amphitheater play structure is assembled and in place. Competition pool deep soil mixing is now complete. North and south roads are being prepped for the first lift of asphalt. And the Phase 2-3 outbuilding shells are nearing completion with roofing. So this is an aerial that was taken, I believe, either earlier this week or late last week of the rec center and the aquatics facility on the left-hand side there. And then this is the projection for the next 90 days, the planned work, some of the more major milestones. So just briefly going through it. For Phase 1, paving of the north and south roads will be complete in the next 90 days. Formation of sidewalks will start to come into place. Phase 2, 3, completion of the amphitheater stage, construction and roof. And a couple other items there. I won't bore you guys going through it. And for phase 4, I'm sure you're all aware, later on this month, we have the topping out of the recreation center, which is a big, major milestone for any construction project. It's a tradition to celebrate all the hard work and the safe work that all the workers put in to get the structure to the last structural member that's being installed in the project. So that's the update for Central Park. Any questions on Central? No. So moving on to the Cultural Arts Center. The contractor's been working diligently over the last couple months to finalize the punch list and correct some of the items that were outstanding, such as the sloped lawn landscape area, which it was supposed to be complete last Friday, but due to the rain, it's been delayed a little bit. So it's scheduled to be completed by next Friday now, so long as the rain permitting. Replacement and repair of sidewalks has been completed, estimated to be completed by the end of the month. Door hardware corrections will be completed by mid-July. I think they're waiting for some material, some hardware. Ponding water addressed on 53rd Street will be completed by June, end of June, I'm sorry. And we're anticipating all permits to be closed and final certificate of occupancy to be achieved by August. Any questions on cultural?
I think we'll just take questions at the end, George, if that's okay.
Trails and Tails, there's an item on the resolution for this. The Parks Department is working with the design consultant, or will be working with the design consultant to further improve the lighting of the trails networks in Doral. And then moving on to the budget. This is a short budget summary of the overall program. There's a lot of information on here, but really just to highlight the Central Park budget is including the final number for the contractor and the overall budget of 199 funding at the bottom. So this goes over the expended to date, which is 68 million, how much has been encumbered, and what's available to be encumbered. So I think I missed a slide on here. So these are the projects that have been completed. We've gone over these, but White Course is complete. Morgan Levy, Doral Meadow, Trails and Tails Park, and then Cultural Center has been open, but pending the items that I mentioned earlier. So this is the project level schedule of the major milestones achieved and ones to be achieved. I'd like to highlight for Central Park that phase 2, 3, which is the eastern portion of the park, will be open in summer of next year. With the phase 4 rec center aquatics facility, western portion to be open December 24th, as indicated there. And that's it. Any
Thank you very
questions?
much, George. Any questions? No questions? Okay, I do have a question. The budgeted amounts that are being shown there, that includes the GMP that we're gonna be approving today,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
on the
Yes.
agenda, correct? Okay, and then the trails, do we have an estimated time of when we'll be seeing that start? The trails networks, the lighting of it?
So on your consent items, you had one of the trail projects in there. That's a design for 3.7 or
That's
8.
the one right off of 117th, right?
Yeah, that's going to be all of 117th from 25th Street to 58th Street, 50th Street, portions from 107 to 109. And I think, George helped me out here with my memory.
I think that's good.
58th Street, 114th Avenue to 117th Avenue, and 25th Street, I believe 107 to 117th Avenue. So that's going to take care of all that lighting. That's just the design portion of that. And then from there, we'll go out to bid once those design documents are done. And I think that's between 3 to 6 months. Let Laz come up here and give us an update if you would like on the trail network. Because we've actually, the trail network project is going to be done by the Parks and Recreation Department, particularly Assistant Director Lazaro Quintero will be handling that project.
Good morning, Mayor.
Morning.
So as the manager mentioned, yes, on the agenda today is for the design services for the lighting of the trails. Time frame is about 8 months for the design documents. There's a lot of coordination that's going to be needed along those trails. Essentially, a lot of our trails are canal easements that the city enter into agreements with the neighboring HOAs along with Miami-Dade County. So there'll be some coordination that will need to be done in that aspect. So it's approximately 3.2 miles of trails that we're looking to light.
Okay, and I know that we're also looking at maybe adding some additional sections now that we're, that we decided to not move forward with the bridge. We're looking at other maybe potential areas that we had possibly identified. So
yeah,
at
we can
some
certainly
point,
look into.
we'll look at those to light as well, and hopefully create more trails and walkable areas.
This is actually adding a little more than
Yeah.
what we discussed in February. That's what, the 58th Street part of it, the 50th Street, 107 to 109, fixing all those lights out there. So there'll be a big portion of it. So it's actually already adding part of the network. And we're looking at the bike master plan and the network plan, the trail network plan to make sure that.
To continue to include it. Okay.
Following the master plan.
Great. And then my final question is, I guess for you guys as well, the workshops that we're gonna go out and do some workshops so that people know what to expect out of Doral Central Park.
Yes.
What's the timeline? When
We're looking at doing that in September, waiting till school gets back in, letting everybody settle, and then looking at sometime mid-September to start those workshops. And we'll be coming to the community, not the community coming to us. So what we did, similar to what we did in 2018 when we went out for the bond, where we went to the community's HOA meetings, where we found opportunities in other activities that were going on, and use that to provide the workshops and updates on what's going on with the Parks Bond.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lazaro.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Thank you,
we move
George.
on? Thank you, George.
Mayor's report.
Okay, so very quickly, earlier this year, we participated in the Run Doral, which was the first half marathon that's taken place in the city of Doral. And so today we have Eduardo Orozco with us, who would like to present a check for $800 to Parks and Police for Kids, which is proceeds of what his run had contributed to the city. So thank you very much, Eduardo. Come on up very quickly. Yes, absolutely.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here again. This is my business partner, Ruben Figueredo. It was an honor to be part of this historical event. As your words, once you said that we're going to put Doral in the map of the biggest sports events in Miami-Dade. So we did it successfully, thanks God. We worked as a team. It was an honor to be part of the development of our city from this perspective, from the sports, creating sports events. So this is our first step. I know we are going to work together next year and so on. And at that time, this was we wanted to make this donation. And I told that to our mayor, Christy Fraga, and she told me that that money should be in hands of the Police and Parks for Kids. So here we are. We love this partnership, and we love to be part of this city. You can count on us, and so
Thank
here
you,
we are.
Eduardo.
Thank you.
You did a great job. It was very, very well attended. Many of us were there, so I believe the vice mayor ran it, actually, yes.
Oscar.
So, and you did too, I'm sorry, yes, Councilman Puig did too. So thank you very much, and we look forward to next year as well, and continuing to support athletic events in our community that bring out bring out the people to come and do great things in our community. So let's go down and take a picture. Thank you.
I want to know what place the Vice Mayor and Councilman Oscar Puig got. What places they get? Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll stop.
Look front and center. 1, 2, 3, big smiles. One more.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Eduardo. We'll make sure to get it to Parks and Police for Kids. And it'll be in good hands. Thank you. Continuing on with my mayor's report, not much to report. Want to wish Manny Pila a happy birthday on June 20th. And Jane Decker, yesterday was her birthday on June 13th. So happy birthday to our directors. And Father's Day is this month. So wishing all the fathers a happy Father's Day. But we'll do that at the end of the meeting as well, too. Just wanted to make sure. So that's all for my mayor's report. We can move on to the next item.
We're now going into discussion items. Discussion item 9A, appointment of Parks and Police for Kids member.
Vice Mayor, this is your item.
Thank you, Mayor. I just would like to ask my colleagues to support this item since unfortunately the last person didn't have the time based on his activities and duties. So this is my new nominee for the Park and Police for Kids. So I hope to have the support.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Puig-Corve, second by Councilwoman Boras. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Puig-Corve, seconded by Councilman Porras. Councilman Puig-Corve?
Yes.
Councilman Porras?
Yes.
Councilman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Next item, item 9B, discussion keys to the city Doral founders.
Mayor, excuse me. As per recommendation of the attorney, I have to recuse myself on this item.
Yes, thank you, Councilman. You're excused. Okay, Councilwoman Cabral, this is your item.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Good morning to all. I don't think there's too much to say about for the reason that I brought this item in front of you. It is, for me, a pleasure to be able to request a key for the founders of the city. As I also provide the list here, and I just want to mention those ones that at that time, they were part of One Doral and Doral West when they got together and they noticed that we were lacking of services from our county. And that was when they got together and they decided, you know, we have to do something for our residents, for our kids in the future. And that's when they decided to all of them get together and go to Tallahassee, to the county, and do their more than a diligence. They did this for love, where they actually did not have a stipend, they didn't have a salary, and they went their way to be able, for us, to be able to enjoy what is the city of Doral today. So I just wanted to take the opportunity. I wanted to mention their names, that I have them here. They are also provided within the agenda. But I just want to also say their names. As the second has some issues prior with
Here you go.
that's okay. I have it here. I just had some issues here. Okay. So, Mr. Morgan Levy, that he passed away, but to his family, Juan Carlos Bermudez, Jose Pepe Cancio, Oscar Puig-Corve, Jesse Jones, Barbara Romani, Max Salvador, to his family, Pete Carrera, Sandra Ruiz, Robert Van Name, Michael Di Prieto, Felipe Madrigal, Jerry Howie, Odell Torres, Carmen Guba, Jose Tavares, Santiago Celan, Linda Scott, Chris Mazola, and Alberto Ruiz. Even though I also want to share that I received an email from our city clerk that it was on request of our city mayor, and I just want to read so I can have it within the record. That's our previous conversation. Historically and procedurally, requests for the key to the city have never been brought forward by a council person. As we have discussed, I am verbally denying this request. Therefore, this item will not be placed on the consent agenda under proclamation and keys to the city request. Nevertheless, as I previously informed your office, my office has been working with public affairs to create commemorative recognitions for members of our community that have played an important role in the city incorporation. I would gladly consider adding all the individuals on the councilwoman's list. Please inform the councilwoman. Thank you, Chrissy Fraga, Mayor. That's all for me. So I hope that you all will support my request for the members that actually were part, for us to be able to be sitting here today.
Is there a motion? No. We can hear comments if you'd like. Vice Mayor Pinedo, go ahead, and then I'll go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I certainly recognize and let me start by saying this. I do know most of the people that is on the list, and it is true that we should recognize those that were part of the foundation of this city. Some of them have been recognized in the past as well, and having former elected officials as well that were part of our city for so many years, I think that yes, we should recognize that, and they have all my respect. However, I think that number one, I believe none of us were here 20 years ago to say who did what or who was part of which group. I don't see any historical on the information that was provided in the sense of who was part of what or he did, who did what. I know it's a group. I also believe there are other people that are not included on this list that have been part of the foundation of the city, and that will be my main concern. I mean, it's not the fact that we're recognizing people that, again, I respect and I agree that they should be recognized because they were part of our foundation and they were part of our city. However, there are people that I believe, again, I was not here 20 years ago, and I don't see any records about anything that the city has done in regards to some type of research, historical background in regards to who are the founders of the city, consider it as a city. So there are people that certainly again, I think that would be unfair to leave people out of this list or out of any type of recognition that we should do as a city. Doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be the key to the city. But again, I do believe there are people that have been left out for, I don't know the reasons. I hope there are no political reasons. But it's a reality, and that's why I certainly, would like for the administration to do some type of research about who were considered the founders of the city and who should be recognized in the future as a city. So again, I don't think that this is something that should be up to us, again, because none of us were here 20 years ago. So it's like me creating a list today based on what I hear or what I was told to write down. So again, I do believe there are people that were missing, people that should be recognized, that are not part of this list. And again, the ones that I see here, again, they have all my respect, my recognition. I work with some of them. As you know, I was the chief of staff for the founder, mayor of the city, so it's nothing personal. I just try to be fair with everybody that is considered to be founder of the great city of Doral. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman?
may I?
Yeah.
So I think it's great that we want to recognize certain individuals, and we do that through not just the keys, but also through proclamations and recognition. And I do have to agree, the reason why I'm kind of, I don't think I can support it is because I don't think this is like an exhaustive list. However, I have expressed my concerns with how we do recognitions, proclamations, and the keys, by the way. And I have expressed that concern, to I think everyone here. I think that we need some sort of criteria for all three, not just for keys, but also for recognitions, for proclamations, because I feel like the value of the recognitions have been diminished. And that's my honest opinion. Since I've been here 6 months, we have given a lot of recognitions, and not that the individuals were not worthy of it, of course, but I just think that we need some sort of guideline so that we can start truly bestowing that honor on the people that do, that do meet that criteria. And again, that's to preserve the value of these distinct honors, which is what it is. The city awarding, a recognition, a proclamation, and a key, I think should really come with guidelines. I can count in both of my hands the number of recognitions I have requested. And like I said, I do think we need some sort of criteria, and I don't know enough about who the founders were to say this is the complete list. I really don't know, but I think maybe, as the Vice Mayor mentioned, coming back with sort of, an inclusive list. I would say the council should be part of that, not just the administration. It really should be the council as well, because at the end, we're the ones that are approving it. And so that's why, this was, and it's not just the keys, it's also, I wanted to mention the proclamations and recognitions. So hopefully we can do something about that as well.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So let me just reassure everybody, and the Councilwoman read the email that I sent to the office, to her office, through the clerk's office, when this recognition, or when this item came to my office. First of all, from the moment I walked in, I actually told Public Affairs that I wanted to recognize through the 20 years former elected officials, because I felt that had never been done, and those who were a part of the foundation of the city. I agree. I think this list is not completely, it's not complete of everyone who I believe participated in it. And really, what constitutes a founder is really the I think the primary question. So when this request came to my office, a couple things happened, which is why it took me a little bit to respond. I went back historically. I asked the city clerk to do some research. Never in the history of the city has any council person requested keys to the city. If you read the proclamation, certificate, and key to the city policies and procedure, it specifically says that this is an honor bestowed on by the mayor. So in my opinion, and I argued with the city attorney about this, I don't even think this should have been on the agenda, because the city mayor's office has the authority to deny or approve requests for proclamation, certificates, and keys to the city. Basically, I'm the gatekeeper of that exact criteria of who is deserving of that. And I have shared very much so as well that I want to keep this very sacred, because I think it's important that those certificates and those recognitions that are being done carry a certain honor with them. And again, not that those that we have recognized are not, worthy of the recognitions, but I think there needs to be, and so I'm sure you all have seen, I've changed the way we do certificates a little bit. We've changed the type of certificates we give. Not everybody gets the same type of certificate. We're doing grand opening certificates, anniversary certificates, certificates of recognition, which I'm going to hold very carefully how we give those. And I also started now to do letters of recognition, right? So some people who participate in certain events that would like to be recognized, we will provide them a letter of recognition for their contributions to our community, but not necessarily a certificate. So this is all changed a bit. Keys to the city for me are like, that needs, you take the value away when you're gonna give 20 keys. First of all, we don't have 20 keys. When I came in, we ordered 4 keys, and I was like, that's too much. I don't even see me give me 4 keys, but we ordered 4 keys. So there is a financial cost to this as well, which I asked the city manager to look at. We don't even have enough keys to be able to give it by this time. We would have to express order them, which will cost us more money. But besides all of that, and talking about the proclamation, certificates, certificates and keys to the city policies and procedures, which I'm going to bring back in August. We're going to be bringing that back to kind of codify what exactly this means. And I was a part of the changes that happened when this policy changed, because originally, by the way, historically, this policy didn't exist this way. The mayor was the only one who could approve or deny certificates, proclamations, and keys to the city. And we changed it because there was a mayor that was giving out way too many keys, and we felt that it was losing its value. And so that's why this came forward. I obviously don't have that that sentiment. So we're gonna come back with a policy that brings it back to its original intent, but also will continue to withstand the honor that comes with each one of these recognitions. I am always open to hearing my colleagues' suggestions and recommendations for who should be honored from this city, and those will always be taken into consideration. However, when this item came forward, once again, I made sure, after doing my research with enough time and understanding what my abilities were and my duties and responsibilities as mayor of the city, I respectfully told the clerk to please circulate an email to the councilwoman saying that we were already working on recognitions for all these people, and that I would gladly include every person on this list, plus others that I believe should be recognized. So we are working on providing a very nice recognition, something nicer than just a plaque. We're gonna do something very nice for those members of our community that participated in all the successes we have had in the past 20 years. Not just the foundation of the city, but as was said by the councilwoman, previous elected officials that very much contributed their time and efforts to this community that may have not been here from day one, but definitely gave 110% from the time they decided to take a part and a role in the city's progress. So, with all due respect to the councilwoman, and again, in an effort to not, diminish the value of those who played a key role, I want you all to be very, assured that we are going to be recognizing these people. We are going to be recognizing those who contributed and played key roles in our city's success for the past 20 years. And we're gonna do that at the reception we'll have commemorating our first council meeting. And that's something that I've been working on with public affairs for a while now. So that is why I denied the request for this to move forward, because again, I do believe the keys to the city need to be held very, very, in a very high honor. And giving this many keys to the city, even for the reason it may be, I think really loses its value for those who we're giving it to. So that's my comments. If there is no motion on the table, the item doesn't move forward. But please rest assured that we will be honoring all of these people at our next 20-year anniversary event. And with that, Madam Clerk, we
May
can
I add
move on to the
something,
next item.
Chair?
Well, there's no motion, so really the item no longer exists at this point. So we had discussion on it.
So that's okay.
We've had discussion on an item that really wasn't moving forward.
I can't
think
make
that
any other comment.
we
Okay.
said. Thank you. Madam Clerk, let's move on to the next item.
Next item, item 9C, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, approving interlocal agreements between the city of Doral and Miami-Dade County for Section 6 and Section 15 annexation, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Let's wait for the councilman to return. Thank you, councilman. If you want a copy of this, would you mind passing one to the clerk as well? Thank you.
Madam.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This item is in front of you. It's actually a partnership between the city attorney, city manager's office, CFO, and our development services administrator. If I can have the CFO and the development administrator, Julian and Fernando, come up, they're going to do a presentation. Before they start, I want to just go a little bit of history. This application actually was submitted in 2004, so it's been around for a long time. Moving ahead, and they will go in deeper in the dates. It actually was approved July of 2022 by the commission with 7-year mitigation. So then it came back to the city with 7 years mitigation. The city verbally, at some point, we're going through the history, going through the files, said that it would be 0 mitigations. So now we're here in front of you after doing the research, and what we're proposing, the item in front of you, is to agree on 4 years of mitigation, as Medley just received that in January, which is also part of District 12, and that's what we're requesting. If you could allow me to have staff do a presentation and go into more details about it, and then allow the city attorney to also provide you some feedback so that we can come to some agreement and see where we're going from this. So if staff can please do their presentation.
Okay, very good. Good morning, Mayor, council members, city manager, city attorney, assistant city managers, and members of the audience. My name is Julian Perez, and I'm the Development Service Administrator for the city. And we have a presentation for you. Basically, is just to give you an update where we're at in terms of annexation, Section 6 and 15. And we're also going to touch on a combined financial analysis that we put together to justify the 4 years. With that, let's begin by looking at the general location in terms of our city boundaries. Section 6, the one that has been talked about quite often, is on the northwest corner of the city. And then Section 15, or portions of Section 15, is north of 58th Street between 87th Avenue and the Palmetto Expressway. Let's get into a little bit more details in terms of the location of the different sections. Section 6 is a complete section, is 1 square mile, 640 acres, and both of them falls under Commission District number 12, and the proposed annexation area is bounded on the north by Northwest 106th Street, on the south by Northwest 90th Street, on the east by Northwest 107th Avenue, and on the west by 117th Avenue. So it's a complete square, is your typical section as we see them, and we have a few of those sections throughout the city that makes up the city of Doral. This area is totally industrial. There's no residential development, and there's no potential growth for population in this area. Totally industrial area. The next item is Section 15, and Section 15 is just a portion of the section, a total of 145 acres, which translate to 0.23 square miles. This entire area is also in Section 12, and the general location of this area is bounded by the Palmetto Expressway on 826, on the east, Northwest 58th Street, on the south, 87th Avenue to the west, and 64th Street to the north. And we'll talk about 64th Street in a second because there's a history to that. Again, the area is totally industrial. There's no population here. This area, as of October 28th, 2022, there were 220 assessed properties. Annum 6, Section 6, the same time period, there was 187 assessed property values. This information was derived from the property appraiser's office and was information that was used by the county to do their analysis, including to determine the mitigation. The history of Section 6 is one that goes all the way back to 2004, right after incorporation, as the manager indicated. Has a very long history, just like Section 15, in terms of the many times that the city has attempted to annex this area. All of this was done through resolutions, and we, from the beginning, to the present, we have gone through the process that is required by county statutes or ordinances. For example, on October 7th, that's when the city of Doral originally submitted their boundary change application to Miami-Dade County for Section 6. Then in 2008, again, we reinstated that those intentions are consistent with the original ordinance 0499. As you can see, we always go back to the original ordinance. We always go back to the history, which is very important when you're doing annexation. Then obviously in 2013, again, we reinstated to the county that the city was interested in annexing the area. Again, is the general area that I mentioned to you a few minutes ago. And then on 2016, we submitted, and on May 4th, I was here at that time when we made that submittal. And then on the 17th, it went to the Board of County Commissioners, which is one of the most important steps in the process when you submit such an application. And then it was transmitted to the Planning Advisory Board. The Planning Advisory Board heard the application, and then on July 7th of 2022 was approved by Miami-Dade County Board of County Commissioners, and as indicated by our city attorney. So it was just a very simple application, very simple process. All of the documents required by ordinance were provided, and all of that is available for inspection at that department. The next application, 15, is it's a little bit different, 15. We started on 2004, just like we did with Section 6, on March 22nd of 2013. We put a proposal in, and in that proposal, we kind of requested a lot of that section. Then on 2016, we reduced the area based on discussion that we had with the town of Medley at the time and at the administration at the time. And then it went from almost a complete section now to a section that it was much smaller. And that is the area is Section 15 is bounded by the Palmetto Expressway on 826 to the east, 58th Street to the south, and then Northwest 87th Avenue to the west. And then here is where we go. There was just a partial area on 62nd Street to the north. And once we submitted the application, then the Planning Advisory Board recommended that we take the line all the way out to 64 so that we have a perfect square. And that's where we stand today, and that's how this application that was approved on July 7th, 2022, the boundaries that I just stated was approved with that application. The next item I wanted to talk to you about is probably one of the most important tables associated with annexation, because we wanted to know what is it that we are getting? What is it that we want to annex in comparison to what we already have in the city and what the county already has? And the areas, the important areas here is the industrial, which is in the case of Section 6, you're looking at 318.4 acres. About 50% of the area is industrial. And later on, I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits associated with this land use category as it relates to the city, as well as as it relates to the existing businesses also in Section 6. The other area of great interest in Section 6 is the transportation, communication, utilities, those type of businesses that we have there. This section is really probably one of the best sections that we have in the areas in terms of being unincorporated, because there's many things that we can do here from a growth management perspective that later on I'll touch. But definitely this is an area that would benefit tremendously from having an overlay, a technological overlay to it, so that through the Economic Development Department, we can begin to promote those type of businesses to come into this area. And will really further the value of the area as well as the value of the cities in terms of being, a technological type of city that attracts technology, and as we move forward with the other things that we're doing with technology in Smart City. The next section is the same thing, smaller, because it's about 145.6 acres, but 57% of that is industrial. And in this area is being developed for quite some time. We go back to the 1970s. I remember as I was going through all of the folios for this section. And as early as 2022, if my mind says it correctly, and that was some redevelopment that was done there. But it poses a tremendous potential for the city. It expands our industrial base, but obviously there's going to be some work that we're going to have to do in this area in terms of infrastructure and so forth. The next two slides, I will let our finance director go ahead and walk you through it and explain to you the revenues as well as the expenses. And then I'll come back and finish up the presentation.
Thanks, Julian. As Julian mentioned, we did an analysis of a 7-year mitigation versus a 4-year mitigation. And again, these numbers are based on the information that was provided to us from Miami-Dade County in 2022. So assuming a moderate growth, assuming growth in property values that we've seen over the last year, and then a moderate kind of growth after that, inclusive of property values going up, but also land development that would also add to new construction and redevelopment. We're assuming that the revenues that we would be getting starting in 2024 versus the expense that the city would have to put in order to provide municipal services to both areas, and that is not only inclusive of additional policing or code compliance, but also infrastructure improvements that would need to be made, particularly in the older section, in order to bring it up to Doral standard. We assume that for the first several years, we would be at an operating loss with both of those with a 7-year mitigation. And coming in 2028, we would see a very small amount of profit of about $28,000, and then that growing a little bit up until the last year of the mitigation, and then that would continue to add to Doral's tax base. Again, these are assumptions based on not only the ad valorem taxation, the values going up, but also our cost of services going up as well. And again, in Section 15 in particular, we're not so sure what we're going to find once we get into the infrastructure. The next slide is those same numbers, but if we did it for 4 years. So this is what we're asking for the county to approve for us, which is a 4-year mitigation. And as you see on the slide, this becomes much more profitable a lot sooner. Starting in 2024, we would have a loss, but moving after 2028, which would be the last year, we would be seeing a profit of about $1.8 million. Again, same assumptions that we have on the 7-year mitigation. And this isn't rocket science. This isn't. This is really a lot of what we've seen in history, plus what we think can be developed in the area, plus what we believe are going to be the costs of our services. So again, this will be turning a profit for the city of Doral in 2028, which will certainly diversify our tax base, which is definitely one of the items that we discussed in our strategic planning section, which is about adding additional revenues to the city of Doral.
The next slide before you has to do with those issues and consideration that you typically have in an annexation. And those are some of the uses and facilities that the county would like to retain or at least enter into an agreement with the city. The first one is the Miami-Dade County Fire Rescue District. We're served by Miami-Dade County Fire, so that shouldn't be an issue, as well as Miami-Dade County Library District. So they, according to the report, they would like those uses to remain with the county in perpetuity. The next one is the county roads that they would like to keep, and obviously Northwest 112th Avenue from 90th Street to 106th Street, Northwest 107th Avenue from 90th Street to Northwest 106th Street, and then Northwest 90th Street from Northwest 112th Avenue to Northwest 107th Avenue, and then finally Northwest 106th Street all the way out to the Homestead extension of the Turnpike to 107th Avenue. The other item that they're requesting is asking Doral to enter into an interlocal agreement, and this is for the canal and the drainage maintenance activities. The next one is also a standard one, which is the continue to pay the stormwater utility revenue bond, and this is estimated to go out until 2029, And in the case of Section 6, it will be $81,950 annually. Then they're also recommending that the county stay with several parcels owned by WASA. And then finally, they're asking, the county is asking to retain jurisdiction over all land use and zoning covenants within the annexation area. On 15 is pretty much the same request, except that they're asking that any development that takes place in Section 15 needs to comply with the airport land use zoning map for Miami International Airport and surrounding areas. We do have that already in certain areas of our city, so that shouldn't be a problem. They also would like to maintain ownership or retain ownership of the Northwest 58th Street Canal, which is a secondary canal, and that will be something that will be standard. Then there's two roads that they have identified that they would like to keep, and in this case, it's Northwest 87th Avenue from 58th Street to 350 degree north of Northwest 61st Street, and then Northwest 58th Street from 87th Avenue to State Road 826. Again, the next one is very similar to number 6, which is the interlocal agreement for the canal and drainage system maintenance activities. The next one is the stormwater utility revenue. In the case of Section 15, the rate is $28,850 annually until 2029. And then finally, the same as Section 6, they would like to retain jurisdiction over all land use and zoning covenants within the annexation area. All right, so we went through, I think, a very comprehensive presentation on the annexation for both 6 and 15 that covers financial as well as history. But now let's talk about the benefits associated with annexation. There are several benefits associated with annexation that are universal when you annex any piece of land. Whether you're annexing in an urban place or in a rural area, obviously number one is one of the most important things, and that is being able to add to your jurisdictional boundaries. Second is, in our case, more specifically, is being able to add more area to our industrial base. And this obviously will create an increase in our tax base. We'll have a positive increase in our tax base once we move on from the mitigation, as the finance director pointed out. Obviously, you are also expanding opportunity for new-to-market companies that want to be in the city of Doral. And this is very important when I mentioned that one of the things that we can do with this section is to be able to put an overlay so that we can promote the technology firms. And typically, in this case, technology firms are usually new to market. And we want to create that environment that we're able to successfully attract these businesses to this section. The other area of benefit is the increase in property values in the annexation area. This is a benefit for the existing businesses that are located now in the annexation area. Why? Well, very simple. It's because there's a community next to it that is annexing them, that already has a growth management program in place, has been successfully developed through the years, has a very strong industrial base, which is something that any annexation area will look for, is see how well do they match in terms of that community that is annexing them into their jurisdiction. So those are benefits that at the end of the day would increase their property value. The city will provide a meaningful extension of municipal service while maintaining a low millage rate. That's another benefit to the folks that are right now on Section 6 and 15. Enhance the public services, including additional police officers and crime prevention technology. This case, what we're trying to do here is not only just putting police officers, but introducing the technology that we already have in place to protect our own business community and be able to extend that service to the new annexed areas. The next one is probably one of the most important offerings that we have for the annexation area. And that will be an area that's going to be coming to a city that already has a growth management policies in place that will guide their future development and avoid haphazardous type of development or under development projects. So there's a level of consistency that is going to be provided to both 6 and 15 in terms of growth management. That is very important. And the annexation areas will not add population, as I indicated in my opening statements. These are industrial areas, and they're going to stay industrial areas. The annexation areas are contiguous to the municipal boundaries, and that is extremely important, not only for Miami-Dade County, but for the state, as well as under Chapter 163. Well, what is it that it's going to cost us? We have mentioned that we are going to see a cost, and that happens with basically most of all the annexations, where you see that there's going to be a cost within the first 3 to 5 years. But the secret here is, how do we address that cost, and how do we look at it? We have to look at it from the human resource aspect of it, as well as the capital improvement projects perspective, and that's something that once the area is annexed and we have an opportunity to evaluate the needs of the area, we'll be able to have a clear picture. Public safety investment, including implementation of crime prevention technology, is going to be a cost to us, but in the long run, it's going to be a tremendous benefit to the overall development of both Section 6 and Section 15. There's going to obviously be a cost in preparing the initial planning and fiscal impacts analysis to evaluate costs and revenues streams associated with the annexation areas, as I mentioned. We're going to have to update our comprehensive plan and a number of other documents, and that's going to take time. But it shouldn't be, this one shouldn't be that expensive, because we do have the in-house expertise to do that task. Then implement a comprehensive education program. That is extremely important in any annexation. I think the first year of the annexation, because you want to make sure that everybody understands, how the city works and how they incorporate themselves to our city. And that document is extremely important. And then obviously the cost of preparing the public safety, code compliance, building, and public works annexation areas assessment. And with that, that's our presentation. If there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, as well as our finance director.
I have a question.
One more, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted if the city
Sorry,
attorney can
yes.
just go over from the legality perspective.
Councilman Puig, give us 1 second. I think
Yes,
the city attorney has some comments as well. Thank you.
Sure, I just want to kind of queue up the item. So before you today is approving the interlocal agreements for both Section 6 and Section 15. It's essentially verbatim exactly what the county had proposed and provided to the city for consideration in this past fall. The only change is that instead of 7 years of mitigation, we're proposing 4 years of mitigation. So that's it.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Okay, we will hear now from the council. Councilman Puig, go ahead.
Thank you. First question, you mentioned here, Mr. Perez, that we will not have any zoning rights over these areas? In
No,
your slides?
no, that's not the case. No, that's not the case. Once the area comes into our city, then the zoning and the comprehensive planning, goals, objectives, and policy, and zoning, all of them begin to apply to them. What's going to happen is that there's going to be some areas there that are already working under Miami-Dade County, all right? And they're going to be legally non-conforming uses. And the city attorney may want to weigh in on that.
If I may.
Then second, there's going to be uses that they retained. And they're retaining those uses because they're facility of county-wide significance, which means that our comprehensive plan or our zoning laws will not apply to them because they're uses or facility of county-wide significance, all right?
Okay, I
That's
just
the way
asked
it
because
works.
it says here, county should retain jurisdiction over all land. No, it says jurisdiction. Over all land and zoning use and zoning covenants within the annexation, yeah. It's just the covenants? That's what you're talking
Yeah,
about
the
here.
covenants, correct.
Just- all right, perfect. The other question is for the financial side. It's, we're using the numbers from 2021, 22. That's why this is starting on that year, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. and I just want to understand the difference between the 7-year and the fourth year. On the 7-year, we have line 7 with the cost of providing services all the way through 2030.
Correct.
I'm sorry, that's not the line. Hold on a minute. On number 5, I'm sorry, mitigation payment, all the way to 2030. But then on the 4-year, we have it only until 2027.
Correct. It's 4 years. So
but
starting on 2024 to 2030 would be the 7.
You're using 2021, but you're starting it on 2024.
Yeah, because the last numbers we had from Miami-Dade County indicated from 2021.
Okay.
So we took that, grew it by, CPI, and
Right.
then we extrapolated that out for what would be.
That's the clarification I wanted. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much. The last thing I wanted to ask the city attorney is, within the county rules, if you know, I don't know if you know, do we submit the proposed interlocal agreement, or does the county sends us the proposed and we start negotiating?
Right. So essentially, what happened in July of 2022, the county directed the county attorney's office to prepare the interlocal agreement, which they did.
Okay.
So they're the ones that do the initial draft. What you see are their
We received already.
which apparently the city had received. I do not know when. It was before I began.
Right.
But from what I gather from kind of going through the files is that perhaps in October, around that time of just last year of 2022, the city rejected the interlocal agreements because they wanted to pay zero mitigation.
Right.
So then essentially negotiations are at an impasse and nothing happened. So now if we approve this today, it authorizes the mayor to execute the interlocal agreement as the county drafted. Only difference is 4 years of mitigation instead of 7. We'll send it to the county, but it does not automatically mean that it gets on a county agenda. That will require for it to be sponsored by our county commissioner that oversees our district. So once we sign this, we can send it back to the county, and then of course it'll be a subject of negotiation. But in terms of furthering it in the county side, that will require participation and cooperation by our county commissioner.
Thank you, that's all.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, Councilwoman Cabral, you have the floor.
I don't know if this should be to the city attorney or the city manager. So any news from the lobbying, about the annexation? Any later communication on that? So I just wanted to understand, really, it's great that we're having a fiscal impact analysis and update, but I really don't understand the inter-agreement. I understand that you want the 4 years, 7 years, but this has not even been any discussion within the county yet, nothing. So
your question about the lobbyists is that
Yeah.
they've been working out, setting up a meeting with our mayor and Commissioner Bermudez.
I'll
which is-
speak to that in a couple
Oh, okay.
minutes, yeah.
So they
So
haven't
that-
been, you haven't received any update since last meeting that we had?
They sent an email yesterday, yes.
They sent, so they're working on 2 things. The Covanta.
I'm not talking about annexation.
As far as annexation,
Yeah,
we-
because this is the item that we're right now talking.
That's correct. And we did our due diligence prior to. That's what we were working on from administrative side. There's no way our lobbyists can go into our files or look at anything that we were doing. So that's something that our
that's-
city attorney found, and that's why
That's
we're
not my
here.
question. My question is if you have received you have received with the city attorney any update from last time from our lobby about the annexation. That's my question.
We've been in conversation with them. As far as updates, we have a meeting for tomorrow at 1:30 to discuss.
So the answer is no.
They sent an email last night.
Okay, I would have to look at my emails right now.
But for your understanding right now in the dais is no.
I answered you the question.
I don't understand. My question is if you have received any update since last time that you, or within your knowledge, or right now with the lobby about annexation.
From my knowledge, no, but the mayor's telling me that there was an
That's-
email
that's all.
sent last night, so I don't want to give you the wrong response.
No, but I'm asking to you as a city manager. That's it.
I've been in conversations with them verbally, yes, via phone.
Okay, so yeah, no, I just wanted
An
to know
official
if you
report,
have.
no, I don't have that,
Okay.
unless they sent it last night.
That was my question.
Okay.
Any additional
Nothing.
questions from the council regarding annexation? No. Okay, I have a couple of questions, and then just to update on, there was an email sent last night or yesterday, I believe I saw it last night, from the lobbying team with their updates on both topics. We have had verbal conversations. I speak to them on a weekly, if not daily basis about the situation with Covanta as well as annexation. They are aware of this item coming forward today and of the analysis that our staff was doing in preparation for now taking this and doing their job at the county of getting this approved. So hopefully that'll answer your question, Councilwoman. In addition, I have a couple of questions regarding the issues considering between Miami-Dade County and the city of Doral for Section 6 and also Section 12, but Section 6 particularly, I noticed that the county is proposing to keep most of the roads within Section 6, if not all of them, I believe.
Correct.
Okay, so, you know, in looking at it in the future terms of investment, it actually is good for us because we don't have to maintain those roads. However, looking at the realistic, in theory and realistically, how we deal with things differently than the county, I get calls all the time about our roads that are in very poor condition, such as 107th Avenue right now, that has been under construction for I don't even know how long, and still is patches and potholes. And I get the calls about it, and it's not my road, it's the county's road. And so it makes it very difficult for us to be able to perform when it's under the county's jurisdiction. So while for our, and Fernando may hate me for this, for our financial well-being as a city, it's great that the county wants to continue to maintain and keep these roads, but for the purposes of keeping the city to the standards that we expect and our residents and businesses expect, it concerns me that these roads, not being major roads, but being roads that will be highly trafficked by trucks, which require more maintenance, stay under the city, under the county's jurisdiction. Any comments on that?
The word is proposing to keep.
Okay.
All right. So on that, we can talk
negotiate
about them. It's not like the previous one where it says will remain.
Right.
Okay. And those that's the fire rescue district in Miami Library.
Right.
In this case is proposing. Okay. And that's perhaps something that we can talk to them about. Would you like to?
Yeah, under the ILAs, it says that they will retain ownership and jurisdiction
Over these roads.
for, yes, on the different ones.
Yeah.
It's again, all of this is subject to negotiation, the same way mitigation is. That's part of the conversations.
My only concern is the standards that we hold ourselves to versus the standards that the county holds themselves to.
Correct. For the record, I would never hate you, Madam Mayor. But actually, having experience from other cities that have county roads through them, you can enter into agreements with Miami-Dade County
Okay.
to increase or upscale, whether it's lighting, sidewalks, road conditions, all of those things. So we could look at these on an individual basis based on what we find. And if we needed to, we could enter into agreements where we would provide, of course, we're going to pay for it.
Right.
Higher
Which is my
levels
only
of service.
hesitation, right? It's that
Correct.
we're continuing to bring on more costs, but at the end of the day, I think the service and the the aesthetics of the city is very important.
I have one more question, if I may.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Just a request, if you don't mind. Do you have this fiscal impact by section that you can provide us, please?
Yeah, we can give you
I'd
by
like to
section.
see the difference.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. We'll
Thank
give
you so
we'll give
much.
it to you by section.
Appreciate it.
So my last question actually has to go with Councilman Puig's initial comment at the beginning with the retention of jurisdiction over land use and zoning covenants. Mr. Perez, have you looked over the current covenants that are existent in these areas and how they may impact us?
Not at this time.
Okay, so that may be
But
something.
we'll definitely, this is
yeah,
part of
take
the
a look at.
analysis, the assessment that we'll do, once we get the area, once we annex the area.
Okay, I'll just make another brief comment. I think this is something that the city has been pursuing for 19 years, since we basically became an incorporated city. These two sections were then immediately after applied for. So, we have now gotten to the point where it was approved at the county commission and they should be under our jurisdiction. There's precedent set with Medley's approval back in, I believe it was January, correct? For the 4 years. While I think the city of Doral would love to pay nothing in mitigation, we are obviously seeing that that's not the common practice of the county anymore. And so after an analysis of the sections and ideally 4 years being an opportunity for us to create revenue in perpetuity, invest into the areas in a fiscally responsible way, and looking for new ways to create new revenue sources for our city, I think that this is a very appropriate move, and I think a very responsible move on our part to pursue the final steps in finally acquiring these 2 sections for our city. You know, I think that the councilman's point of seeing the analysis of the 2 sections separately is important, but I would say that it is important that we get these 2 sections with the same terms and conditions, because Section 6 will afford us the opportunity to invest more into Section 15, which will require more of the city's investment. And so for us to be able to do this in a fiscally responsible way, again, looking at in perpetuity, it will be a huge benefit to the city, and in the revenue source that it will create for our community, which is extremely important as we will now start to see the budget. We need to look at new revenue sources. It is extremely important that we move forward on asking the county to approve both sections with the same terms. So that's why this is coming before us with the analysis in a comprehensive, combined application. I've had several discussions with the city attorney's office as to what the next steps are. I have a meeting set with the county commissioner on the 27th of June. I spoke to him last week on the phone about this item. He expressed his concerns. I told him, if you send me something in writing saying that you will move this forward, we won't take this action. But I think it's important for our city to show that we are going to pursue the investment we've made for 19 years of acquiring this area. We've paid for lobbyists for over 15 years to acquire this area and have not been as successful as where we are right now. So I think it's extremely important that we move forward on this. I'm going to be pressuring heavily to get this done. There is will on the county commission to do it. We just need our county commissioner to get it on the agenda. And I think with us now showing our ability, will, and a full comprehensive analysis that the city financially makes sense to move forward with the 4-year mitigation, we can get this done. So I have full confidence in our county commissioner being able to do that, and with us having the showing our support behind the 4 years, there should be no reason why this is denied. So I've had conversations as well with the county mayor's office and her representatives about this, and it seems like 4 years is a good place to be for everyone, for everyone's benefit. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion to approve, and I look forward to getting this done as quickly as possible.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Porras. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras.
Yes.
Councilwoman Puig Corvée.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral.
No.
Mayor Fraga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank very quickly Mr. Julian Perez and Mr. Fernando for helping us, Casamayor, for getting this done for us. This was very, very important in being able to move forward and looking at this decision and really pursuing it, responsibly. So thank you for your hard work, and to the administration for putting this report together. I'll be taking it to my meeting on June 27th. Thank you. Then we can move on to the next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item, item 9D, a resolution of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, approving the final total guaranteed maximum price, GMP, for the construction phase of Doral Central Park with Kaufman Lane Construction in an amount not to exceed $150,616,015.52, authorizing the city manager to expend allocated project funds on behalf of the city and furtherance hereof, providing for an effective date.
Madam City, sorry.
Through the chair.
City Manager.
This item is the guaranteed maximum price for the construction for Doral Central Park. This is something that in 2020 they went out to procure, and Kaufman Lynn did win that, was awarded the contract for the construction, and they've been working hand in hand with us since late 2020, early 2021. It was approved that the city manager had authorization to enter into phases and now what they're calling turnovers during this process, and that they would be providing reports to the council on what was going on. I think that one of the reasons why the funding, the budget kept going up is because there was no final GMP, and that's what we're doing today with the finalization of turnover E, which is $16.7 million included in this, and that's the final turnover, as they're calling it at this time. The park is on track to be finished, as you heard George today, phase 2 and 3, which is the eastern portion of the park during the summer, and then the aquatic facility and the community center to be finished at the end of December 2024. So there's details in here about all the other turnovers and the phases. I can go through that in detail, or I can have Lazaro come up and speak on those details. But I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have, or if you would like, I can bring Lazaro up to go over each detail.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Puig Corve.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Is there any questions? Nope. I went through it with the city manager extensively during our briefing. So it is a very comprehensive report. I went through the turnover letter,
yes,
which we'll continue to keep our pressure on. But I have no additional questions. I don't know if anybody else doesn't. Then, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Puig Corve, seconded by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Councilman Puig Corve?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to recognize Lazaro and Aaron for doing such a great job, coming in and working with ACOM and Kaufman. And Kaufman has been working really hard to make sure that things stay on track, and we have reduced some costs in here as well. So that's really important to mention. So thank you for your confidence, and we'll keep moving forward to finish the park.
We are going to be right there with you, watching every step of the way, breathing down your necks. No, just kidding. Thank you, guys. Okay, Madam Clerk, we think we move on to the items that were pulled.
Yes, Madam Mayor. We're now going into item 6C. A resolution of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, approving the award of fiscal year grant 2023 cycle community-based organization grants in the amount of $4,500 due to Arts Inc., $4,500 to Everlasting Dance Foundation, $3,500 to Perla de Esperanza, $3,900 to Sunshine International Institute, and $4,500 to Vet Info Inc., and providing for an effective date. This was pulled by Councilwoman Cabral, and this was deferred from the April 12th council meeting.
B will be in the evening. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Councilwoman Cabral, you pulled item 6C.
Yeah. I pulled this item because I noticed that several individuals and companies were not vetted correctly. Through the chair, I would like to ask the manager to explain publicly how is the vetting process, and I would also like to ask following up questions if I have any.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is under our economic developer. We did provide you the score sheets and the evaluation criteria that was for the CBO grants. And just to bring everybody together, originally this item was in the April council meeting. There were six organizations that applied at the time. There was one missed, so it's actually 7. That's why it was deferred. So today you have the full 7. Out of the 7 organizations that applied, 5 qualified. That will be receiving the grants, and based on the points that they were evaluated on their programs, that's how they're receiving the grants. The 2 that did not qualify, 1 was late and 1 does not reside in Doral, and that's why they were not qualified in the 5. As far as providing the criteria and going through the evaluation, if Manny Pila can come up and provide the backing. There was 3 committee members that were part of this evaluation committee that reviewed all the applications. The 3 committee members were consistent throughout the entire process on the 2 dates they met for the evaluation.
Good morning. I'm Manuel Pila, economic developer for the City of Doral. Good morning to you all. Happy to answer any questions on the evaluation of these grants.
I asked the city manager to explain the process of the vetting, so to the public, but that was my request.
So they're scored on the need of The scoring scale is the need, the project program narrative, the metrics, and the project cost. You can win up to 30 points on the need. You can win up to 45 points on the project program narrative, 20 points on the metrics, and 5 points on the project cost request. The evaluation committee provided based on the proposals that they provided, each points for each one of those criterias. And I mean, I can tell you who the project, the evaluation committee was. If you'd like, I can go through that. Okay. So the evaluation committee was George Vega, Jean Avina, and Seda Flu. 3 from different departments, 1 from code compliance, 1 from Parks and Rec, and the other one from planning and zoning. And they sat together to discuss it, and they provided the points based on the proposals that they got in front of them.
And how was the pointing, the points on each of the ones that were awarded? The percentage? or
The points on the ones that are awarded were scored.
Yeah, the score. Mhm.
It was a 90% score. These are based on the 3 scores from the 3 committee members and then an average of those scores. Everlasting Dance Foundation received a score of 90. Perla de Esperanza, a score of 70. Sunshine International Institute, 78. Vet Info Inc. scored at 90. And Tutu Arts was scored, 90. They scored on a scale of up to 100. Dollar point value of $50 per point, essentially, 0 to 100. So a organization final score is based on the average of the 3 committee members on their scores.
And what is the reason of the ones that did not get 100? What were they lacking?
The 3 committee members based their recommendations on the need up to 30 points. On the program narrative, in other words, how they describe the program that they intend to do, that's up to 45 points. And on the metrics, up to 20 points. A project cost, how much they're asking for based upon what this project is, 5 points. Very often it's the program narrative and the metrics, which are the biggest elements of their evaluation. And that's where they tend to not get as many points very often in the way that the narrative is described, how the project is described, the information that they give about how the project would be evaluated, the metrics, and that is how they come to their individual evaluations, which are then brought together and evaluated as a group of 3, scored and based upon the average of those 3. So really, they are really deciding based upon the information provided in those applications.
Okay, well, based on the information that I got within that was attached to the agenda, I felt that there were some of them that were not vetted correctly, because there's information that I feel that is missing. But those are my questions.
Thank you. Does that conclude your questioning, Councilwoman?
For the city manager, yes. That conclude my questions to the city manager.
Do you have questions for someone else?
No, I don't. I just have a comment that I really don't feel comfortable approving. I mean, I've been part of approving too many foundations that have been vetted correctly, but I feel that some of them that are there, there's some information that is missing within what I receive. And I also, do my diligence to make sure that we're giving taxpayer money to the foundations that really are correctly give all the information that is vetted, or at least of what I receive for my vote for them. And I also don't feel comfortable of giving someone that had received $3,800 pay from your political action committee to us to be also giving money to a foundation.
Okay. Thank you very much. Does that conclude your questions?
And my
Is
comments
there
too.
any other comments at this point?
Can I comment?
Yes, Vice Mayor Pinedo, please go ahead.
Madam Manager, quick question. For how long have we been running the community-based organization program as a city?
Even when I was here back since 2009.
Have we ever changed the way that is vetting or process?
Not so. Manny, go ahead and answer, since you've been
The
the one
last change
consistently
was
here.
in 2017. It'll say it in your SOP that's attached. At the very top, it tells you the last time it was changed was in 2017. So this has been the process and the scoring since 2017.
He's correct. That's actually what it says on the policy. It says 2017 it was implemented and last revised on 2020.
Got it. That's all. Thank you.
And just to add about the cost, this was budgeted at $25,000. We're only awarding up to $20,000. So there is a savings of $5,000.
Thank you. Any other questions? No?
Approve.
Motion to approve by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Porras. If there's no additional questions at this time, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinedo. Yes. Councilwoman Porras.
Yes.
Councilman Puig Corvée.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral.
No.
Mayor Fraga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. Great job.
Okay, we're moving on to the next item.
Next item, item 6K, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, waiving the competitive bidding process pursuant to section 2-321 of the city's code of ordinances for a special needs summer camp, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Kids at Music LLC for a special needs summer camp in an amount not to exceed $37,660, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date. This was pulled by Councilwoman Cabral.
Councilwoman Cabral.
I just pulled this item, but I want to express my support to this program. I think that is wonderful that we're bringing it back. I know that it was within the time that we were reviewing the agenda that we have to suspend it at the time of the COVID. So this is wonderful that we're giving the opportunity to our, especially our special needs, the opportunity for them to have the camp. The only thing is that I just wanted to add and to express to the community that the bidding process, it is very important. Not only does that provide a window to have competition for services, that it provides a more transparent process to our community, to our taxpayers. I just want to make sure that we always look after the best interest of our residents.
Okay, thank
Motion
you,
to
Councilwoman
approve.
Cabral. Motion by Councilman Oscar Puig Corvée.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Porras. Does that conclude your comments, Councilwoman?
Yeah, that concludes my comments.
Okay, perfect. I want to thank, since this was pulled, I want to thank the administration for moving on this very quickly. This was something that we heard a lot over the last year, that these programs were lacking and missing from our options of programming, especially for special needs. So I look forward to continuing to see them. I know that it is going to go out to bid. Yes, right after the summer for the additional programs like winter camp and spring camp, as well as day camps for Teacher Workday.
Absolutely. And so that way you are aware, it does state that we did ask for multiple proposals from different organizations within the city. We just didn't go through the procurement process bid, but we did receive about 3, I think it was, Aaron, that we received, or 4? 5, I'm sorry. We received 5 different proposals with different cost analysis where staff reviewed them and provided, based on cost and the quality of services plus experience and their background and making sure they had all their certifications, is the one that was selected for this. But in the essence of time to make sure that we provided it, we wanted to make sure the process would have taken at least 3 months. Therefore, there wouldn't have been no special needs camp. And this is the reason we did it this way.
Yeah, I'm
but
looking
you're right, Mayor. We will be going out to bid right after this to make sure we follow the procurement process.
Looking for next year.
I know that this was something that the Special Needs Board brought to your attention immediately when they met. You guys moved very quickly, so thank you for that. Obviously, we always strive to try our best to make sure that everything is done through a transparent process. And so I know that the bids, that the proposals were submitted, and I think that also it was chosen based on the one who could provide the most amount of spaces so that the maximum amount of our community could participate. So I was part of the board when I was there when you presented to them and heard their whole discussion. I participated in that. So thank you. And I look forward to seeing these kids in this camp.
And it's for residents only. So
Yes.
just want to make that clear.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you all
So,
for all of
yes,
that.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Puig Corvée, seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Councilman Puig Corvée.
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras.
Yes.
Councilman Cabral.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo. Mayor Fraga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Madam
Parks, for working so diligently on it.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Aaron.
Next item, item 6N, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, authorizing Dominican Cultural Philanthropists, Inc. in partnership with Unidos por la Fe, Inc. to use the Doral Cultural Arts Centers for the restoration of the Dominican Republic Independence Day event to be held on August 12, 2023, providing for a waiver of the rental fee in the amount of $400, authorizing the use of the city logo for said event, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date. This was pulled by Councilwoman Cabral.
Councilwoman Cabral.
I know that it was sponsored by you, and I wanted to take the opportunity to say that I'm happy, and I also very grateful that you are recognizing my community. I actually started doing this because I wanted my community to know the city of Doral more about my roots, and you have taken your time to meet with them and being able to also bring a little bit more about my culture to the city. So I really appreciate that you're taking your time for this. The only thing is that I look a little bit on the background of the person that is really doing the event, and I have some questions about that. But I hope also I will be able to see that you bring also to our city a little bit more about your culture as well, as the same way that you're supporting mine. So I feel very honored that you're doing that for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The Dominican community is extremely important, has always been very active in our city. I have had very close ties to them for a very long time. And so when they proposed doing this event, we definitely decided it would be a great opportunity since the February event got canceled for Independence Day. And so we felt that this would be a great way to be able to highlight the Dominican community in our city, and we hope you'll join us.
Yes, no,
So
definitely. That's
it'll-
why I wanted to work, because you're working with the same institution that I'm working with. And yes, it had to be canceled February because unfortunately the fire in Covanta, I did not feel that it was the right time to be celebrating an independence or to know more about my roots during the time that we were going through.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Are you placing a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Oh, great. Motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Councilman Puig Corbe. Great. This is going to be a wonderful event. We look forward to it. We're going to light up the building in red, white, and blue.
I like the
colors as
past
the
years.
American flag, but we're going to light it up and we're going to
Y a bailar merengue.
a bailar,
Yeah,
a
like the
bailar
past-
merengue.
yeah, like past
Definitely.
years.
Yes, yes.
Like past years.
So thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilwoman Cabral, seconded by Councilman Puig Corbe. Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Councilman Puig Corbe?
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo? Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And the organizers of the event are here, so thank you. We look forward to working together. Madam Clerk, next item.
Next item, item 6V, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, supporting the adoption of term limits for the constitutional offices which will be elected in Miami-Dade County in 2024, directing the city clerk to transmit the copies of the resolution and providing for an effective date. This was pulled by Councilwoman Cabral.
Councilwoman Cabral.
Thank you. I pulled this item because I would like to, through the chair, would like to ask a question to the city attorney. My understanding is that this is by the state, isn't it? I just wanted to understand, not,
It's partially by the state, but the county does retain some jurisdiction. So just kind of some context and procedural history.
if I can have some clarification.
Sure, of course. So in
Thank you.
2018, Florida voters voted to amend the Florida Constitution. It was called Amendment 10, and it passed, and it prohibited charter counties from abolishing constitutional offices. So Miami-Dade County is a charter county and had previously abolished the constitutional offices of the sheriff, property appraiser, supervisor of elections, and tax collector. So historically, the county has always had those as internal departments versus separate constitutional offices. With the passing of Amendment 10 in 2018, now the county has to, Miami-Dade County has to make those constitutional offices, that these are subject to election, 4-year terms. So there's certain aspects of it that are dictated by state statute. So for example, that it has to be subject to elections and the 4-year terms, but term limits are still the subject of county authority. So the county in its charter, if they wanted to, could put in term limits. So this resolution is asking the county to put in term limits for those constitutional offices once they get established, which the county's in the process of doing.
So then I was wrong. I mean, my understanding was that it was on the state still.
Again, most of it is, and
What
the
part it
county
is?
would be preempted, with the exception of term limits. The county is still permitted to enforce term limits through their charter on those constitutional offices.
Only on that part.
I believe it's that, and there's one other, I think there was one other thing, but I don't have that information.
Only
There's 2 areas where they retain some jurisdiction over.
Do you think that you will be able to provide me that later on?
Of course.
Because right now, I'm lacking a little bit of information because I still don't understand well. How is it, that part of why is it that then we have to put this, this resolution in place?
It's voluntary. It's simply urging the county to establish term limits. They're not required to. It's
Yeah, I don't, yeah,
a recommendation.
yeah.
It's, if I may, yeah. Madam City Attorney, you're done. Councilman Cabral, does that conclude your comments?
Yeah, it
Okay,
does.
Vice Mayor, do you want to say something on this?
No, I was going to
Your
say
item.
that it's certainly symbolic. I mean, there are other municipalities joining this effort. I do believe in term limits. I think it's important for, it's an essential role in the democratic process. So, again, I know it's a state, but I believe in urging the county in taking this position will be also symbolic. Again, based on the fact that I do believe that they should have term limits.
Motion.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. There's a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Porras, second by Vice Mayor Pinedo. I'll just mention that this is simply symbolic, like we've done in many other cases, in urging the county or the state to implement a law or to show our support. I think as Vice Mayor Pinedo said, it just basically shows that it's important in the democratic process to establish term limits. And so this is just asking the county to consider in its authority to move forward in creating term limits for these new offices that will now be constitutional offices. So, Madam City Attorney, is that stated correctly?
Yes, and just to answer Councilwoman Cabral's question, so the adoption of Amendment 10 does not change the legislative authority or other functions of the charter county, such as Miami-Dade, and their electors from establishing term limits or creating other nonpartisan offices or organizing other county offices. So those are still retained by Miami-Dade County, that authority. Everything else would be, again, governed by the state.
Motion to approve.
There's already a motion on the table. Sorry, go ahead and call the roll. Sorry.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Porras, seconded by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Councilwoman Porras.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo. Councilman Puig Corvée.
Yes.
Councilman Cabral.
No.
Mayor Fraga.
Yes.
Motion passes. Council comments.
Any council comments at this time? Go ahead, Councilman Puig Corvée. Go ahead.
First of all, I would like to welcome the two new compliance officers, Alvio Mantecon and Daniel Porras. Welcome to the city. Also, please join me in welcoming Daniela Sanchez. She will be my office's executive intern this summer. She and her family are longtime Doral residents. Before she heads out to law school at the University of Miami this fall, she will be gaining experience here at the city of Doral. Welcome, Daniela. She's already doing a great job. I'd like to thank Javier Gonzalez, our most recent Director of Planning and Zoning, for his 13 years of service in the city of Doral. I wish him well in his new professional chapter, and on behalf of many of us, thank you for your service. Today, we have three employees with birthdays, Aurelio Del Valle from IT, Officer Gregorio Raffo, and Fernando Salgo from Public Works. Wish you happy birthday. And wishing all Doral families a safe and happy summer, and happy Father's Day to all. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Vice Mayor, you had some comments?
First of all, I just want to say congratulate the administration, the Parks Department. I think that we had a great celebration on Saturday.
Yes.
So it was nice to see past, former elected officials, us there, everybody together. We missed a couple of former elected officials, but most of them were there. So it was nice to see that unity, that at the end of the day, that's what really represents the city of Doral. I also want to thank the Parks Department. I went to Doral Central Park on Monday. I know that we had that discussion earlier, but I was amazed to see the progress in the last 4 or 5 months since I was there, and it's pretty amazing. And that again speak highly about the commitment and the progress that we're making as an administration, as a city, and residents should be happy about that as well. And last but not least, certainly, I know the mayor mentioned that before. It's happy, we're celebrating Father's Day soon, so happy Father's Day to my colleague and the residents.
And what about
Frank that is here too. So that's it. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilwoman Porras?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you to all of the departments. In the last couple of months, you have been so responsive, so diligent, and it's been really great to work with you. So I want to thank you for that. And also, I really was also impressed with all the progress that's been made in Doral Central Park. So I want to thank everyone that's involved with that. And I'm very excited for it to be opening or partially opening a year from where we are now. I want to also congratulate all the employees of the month that were here, all of the great work for the department, and also wish all of the fathers a happy Father's Day, everyone in this room and everyone that's watching us live and everyone out there too. And also hope that all of you all have a great summer as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Councilwoman Cabral? Go ahead.
Well, I want to thank all the departments for the effort and also for the wonderful celebration that we have for the 20th anniversary of our city. Also, happy Father's Day to all the fathers, to my dad, Papi, and to my brother as well, and my other brother too. I also wanted to say that I wanted to go to the to Central Park, but it's being a little bit delayed, my agenda, so I asked for those ones also that have sent some emails to me to be a little bit patient. I'm gonna go one by one and answer all of that. Unfortunately, my legislator aide was fired by the other manager and also with the opinion of our city attorney, but I'm going to go one by one. So I'm gonna catch up and hopefully soon I will have my office running on speed. So that it's all my comments.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I also wanted to quickly congratulate everyone who graduated, all the graduates from this year. We went to a couple graduations, so it was great to be there and watch a lot of the seniors walk across the stage. And that concludes council comments. We'll move on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. So real quick, we've been working on the budget, and we'll be setting up meetings with each of your offices to go over the budget as well, along with having our meeting on July 31st for the millage. So just wanted to keep you abreast. Every department has been working hard to keep their budgets they're trying to be sustainable. As we know, we have a challenge with the low millage, but we're working to make sure we keep it a low millage and keep a balanced budget as well. So just wanted to give you a report on the budget. As you know, we are entering hurricane season. And so we had our hurricane fair during May, and along with our department heads and EOC, an exercise to make sure we were prepared on May 30th. We had that exercise to make sure if anything comes at us, we're ready. And our community's ready, providing you tips, and please always feel free to reach out to any of us if anybody needs anything. We had our mental health wellness month that we had a lot of activities, free activities for our community. Thank you to the Parks Department for providing that as well. You all talked about the 20-year anniversary. I also thought that was great, being here prior to when I got here in 2005 and seeing everybody from 2005 be up there and everybody together. It was a great event. The community really enjoyed it as well. It was a fun birthday party with that balloon drop. I know you guys all enjoyed the balloons landing on you guys. You mentioned Citizens Academy. We actually have during protocol hour the graduation of our Citizens Academy. We had so many residents out there. Thank you, Edgar and Danny and your team for putting Citizens Academy together. They had a full room. They learned a lot about each department and the functionalities of what our city does and our procedures, our policies. They met with a lot of our staff. So looking forward to 5 o'clock today for their graduation. Because they all participated and did a great job, and we have more advocates out there that learned about our government and we've established relationships with. I had actually a meeting with Miami-Dade College. I'll probably be bringing this in the future. I actually did a walkthrough with them of their facility. They have a great facility where they have we can do a lot of partnerships. We've been working on retaining employees, hiring more employees, and I think a good partnership with Miami-Dade College to some of these students that are learning about government or anything near that they can start working with us while they're going to school. We can work on their schedules with them and have already people in the pipeline to make sure that we can get some really good quality employees, especially most of the students that are there are residents. So a great partnership with Miami-Dade College here would be great. We did a great walk. It's a great facility, beautiful facility. Tesla's there. They're learning about Tesla. Marilyn did a great job when I walked through with her. So I'll be bringing that forward. I know many of you have also walked with her already. And I think that if you haven't, please reach out to her because she'll be happy to give you all a tour of Miami-Dade College and what they've done over there. We have our 4th of July coming up. So I know that went out. So people were signing up. And so it's exciting. It'll hopefully be our last 4th of July at the Trump. Well, maybe it'll be the second to last. We'll see what happens with the park. But yeah, that's coming up. And the fireworks are going to be great. And we also have fireworks that are also sent out of Doral Glades. So those people in the community on the northwest end of the city will also have fireworks out there if they can't make it out to the Trump. They can see it from their homes. So don't go to the park. The park is closed. They're just being sent out of the park. So please don't forget about our 4th of July and our Independence Day. And last but not least, of course, you've all said Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to our council members, our deputy city manager, our directors. Fathers have come a long way where they now are sometimes like moms taking the kids to the sports. So want to recognize our dads out here for being able also to manage that. So thank you to everybody, and I think that concludes my report.
Madam Manager, we move on to the city attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Briefly, I just want to give everyone a heads up that we may be seeking to schedule a shade session on a piece of litigation, and so we can discuss settlement negotiations. Tentatively, we'd be looking at the same day as the council meeting for the zoning, which is June 28th. So just keep a lookout from an email from the clerk for obtaining your availability.
Okay, thank you, Madam City Attorney. Just worked with the clerk's office to check all of our schedules. And city clerk's report is attached.
Yes. Happy Father's Day
Motion
to
to
everybody
adjourn.
and happy summer. And we have another meeting coming up, but still happy summer.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Okay, can I get a motion to
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, to break, actually recess. Yes. Motion to recess by Councilman Puig Corbe, second by Vice Mayor Pinero. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. 6.
Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening. Welcome to our 6 p.m. evening session for the council meeting on June 14th. The time is now 6:12. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Oscar Puig Corbe.
Here.
Councilman Maureen Porras. Here. Councilman Dina Cabral.
Present.
Vice Mayor Rafael Pinero.
Present.
Mayor Christy Fraga.
Here.
May you have quorum.
Thank you very much. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Rafael Pinero. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Agenda order of business. I don't believe that there's any changes from this morning's agenda order of business.
No, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. We will open up public comments portion of this meeting. The public comments portion is now open. If you have any comments about the agenda or something that is not on the agenda, please come up to the podium at this time. You have 3 minutes to speak. State your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments brief and respectful. We're going to start with Pierre Christ, who filled out one of these cards. Good afternoon, Pierre.
Good evening, council members, mayor, staff, and audience. For the record, Pierre Christ, 10254 Northwest 52nd Lane, Doral, Florida 33178. Today, I would like to make 2 comments within the 3 minutes. The first one is to show my appreciation to Barbie and all the staff of our city about the awesome Citizens Academy that just concluded yesterday. I was participant of the first one 14 years ago, and I requested to be invited as an observer to see how much it evolved and how much it progressed and how much we have grown as teenagers to adults, and also the readiness and the different departments and the professionals that we have in-house is unbelievable, the change that I have seen. I think it's an opportunity that is great. Everybody was very attentive. There was a lot of interaction. I know it cost a lot of effort, time and money, but it's money and effort well spent. I want you to know that stuff. Thank you very much to all your directors and all the staff that participated and the sponsors too. The second one, as part of that presentation, there were discussion about the new trolleys, and that we're about to get into a new contract with New Fleet and so on. And I was very disappointed that none of those being requested to be gas vehicles that Miami-Dade has. I mean, natural gas or liquefied gas propelled vehicles. And if Miami-Dade can do that, we need to find a way to do so. I know there's some logistics, for example, where you're going to repump them, but I know there's a Miami-Dade pump in 58th Street, and maybe they have gas there, so they can use that for the trolleys. And I also research, and there's companies, they go and service and refill your vehicles at your parking lot with natural gas. So I pledge you that we go more towards eco-friendly. We might have some tax incentives to at least dip and have one or two of those vehicles to see how that goes, but to have those to be natural gas. I know hybrid, we're not there yet. Things are evolving, although Orlando is able to do it in International Drive, so maybe that's another thing to request. Have one of those of that type, the other one on the other type, as we see how those technologies work for us. But please, I kindly request that council considers that and eventually direct staff to consider to have at least one of those two vehicles on alternate fuel this year or the next or this next contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christ. Any other public comments at this time? No additional public comments. The public comments portion is closed. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that no one else has chosen to speak at this time. And we'll move on to the next item.
Item 28, presentation by Miami-Dade County Fire Chief on the annual service delivery report.
Thank you, Chief Jadala. Welcome to the city of Doral. I think you've been here a little too much lately, but.
So good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the Great Council, Madam Manager, to all the appointed elected leaders, to all the friends and family, to the residents of Doral. Welcome and thank you. It's an honor to be here before you to present the 2022 Service Delivery Report. It's been a whole 24 hours, I think, since we've all seen each other. So, So I've got two presentations. First, I'd like to go over the video, and then we'll do the actual PowerPoint presentation. So,
thank you.
So this first video is going to be the services that are provided to the entire Miami-Dade County and, of course, the community of Doral. So as we go into the PowerPoint presentation for the services, I'd like to recognize a couple of members of my team. First is Erica Benitez, my Chief of Staff. And for the South District operations overseeing the entire South is Chief Carlos Perez. And once again, for those who have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Ray Jadala. I was appointed Fire Chief in August of 2022. And I've had 27 years in the fire service, 23 with the great Miami-Dade County Fire Rescue. So with our service presentation, all right. So our 2022 Service Delivery Report, just a department overview. So the department originated in 1935. It is the largest fire department in the Southeast, the 6th largest in the entire country. And we have 2,800 employees and we continue to grow. We have 158 frontline units, fire trucks, rescue trucks, technical rescue, hazmat, 7 out of 71 firehouses. We have 2 full-time air rescue helicopters and 2 fireboats. And we're an accredited commission on fire accreditation. And what does that mean? It means that the services that are rendered are always first class. Policies are always updated, training is always overlooked in regards to making sure that the newest and latest, greatest is being performed. Of course, our equipment is also reassessed. So some of our highlights from 2022. So last year we placed 3 units in service, one of which actually, does assist Doral, the Rescue 17. We also placed into service a high axle water vehicle, as some of you may have seen, where areas that are prone to flooding, where we utilize to remove, occupants that may be displaced or trapped as a result of the high water. The department hired last year 92 firefighters. This year we're at 84, and we actually have a class of 56 currently going through, with another class of 40 looking to hire at the end of the year. So the growth continues as Miami-Dade County, Doral continues to grow. So specifically to Doral, as we've been your fire department since 2003. We ran last year just under 7,500 calls. We have an average of 7 minutes and 32 seconds. And 87% of the calls are usually handled by those 4 stations that you see there. Station 48, Station 45, Station 69, and Station 17. And with the rescue that was just placed last year to assist, it does assist with the response times. Now, we do have some of the other stations that do come into the city of Doral when needed. And as many of you are aware where the stations are, Station 45 right off of 58th Street, Station 48 right off of 87th Avenue, Station 69 off of 74th Street, and then of course 17, which is just on the outskirts off of 72nd Avenue. Now this is the geographical map. The green area is the city of Doral, and as you can see we have 4 stations that service Doral. But if you notice, there's one yellow marker there that's on the outskirts of Doral. That's actually a proposed station. We are scheduled to open that by the end of the year, Station 68. It will assist on the south end of the geographical area of Doral in regards to response time. So that is a unit that's up and coming. And as you can see, the number of fire stations and units that we have in the surrounding area. So, as you remember, in the not so distant past, we had the the fire, and the amount of resources that we're able to bring into Doral. It's not just the 4 stations that assist, the city of Doral. We have 71 fire stations, and if all 71 firehouses need to respond to Doral, we make that happen. And every possible resource in regards to technical rescue, hazmat, air rescue, and as such is available, to Doral. So here, we have an average of 22 units that, support Doral. We have 2 battalion chiefs, one of which is a hazmat chief, 7 rescues, 9 suppressions, and 4 specialty units that operate within Doral. And again, 158 resources if needed, for any type of incident that may occur. A total of 70 firefighters that staff the various units that are the 4 out of the 4 stations. So one of the things in regards to fire rescue is everyone always assumes that's just fire, emergency services, technical rescue, hazmat, people jumping out of helicopters into the water. But we actually do community engagement. And as you can see here, just in the city of Doral, we had 47 community engagements. And we actually had contact with and conversations with over 10,000 City of Doral residents alone, just in 2022. And this is the event that was on August 9th of 2022, the Getting Out Alive Evacuation Fire Extinguisher Training that we offered to the residents and to anyone that requested. Here, this was the community affairs that took part of the Doral's Military Family Day. It's in the event to honor those who served along with friends and family. And another one in April that just recently, April 16, 2023, but this one is not part of the 10,000, but the community events just continue to occur here in Doral. So customer feedback, though we continue to provide great services, there's always room for improvement if necessary, and we send out our surveys. We receive the surveys that are sent out to Doral residents in regards to emergency situations that may respond to their house. We usually get about 20% back. In this case, 47 residents from the city of Doral alone had rated us at a 4.81 out of a 5.0, which is a 96% satisfaction rate. And as you could see here, just a couple of the quotes that we pulled, these are actually city Doral residents that actually, mentioned the services that are rendered by Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. And as you can see, thank you for your service to the community. You are the best. And again, they continue. So, Madam Mayor, that concludes the 2022 Service Delivery Report. Once again, to everyone here, it's an honor to be standing here before you. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief Dajala. Let me be the first to say thank you to you and your team for your exceptional service and response to the fire at Covanta back in February. We had a lot of opportunities to spend time together and talk. For those who are not maybe aware, or just for edification purposes, the City of Doral does not have its own fire department. We utilize Miami-Dade County Fire Rescue. So that's why the chief is here with us today giving us this report. I reviewed the report extensively, and also having seen the exceptional service that we are receiving from the department as we experienced firsthand back in February. I just wanted to say thank you for your work with our departments, with our police department. It was a collaborative effort, as well as Ms. Benitez. You guys were in constant communication with us, and we very much appreciate it. And every time that we had a concern or residents had a concern, you were ready to answer and respond. Your social media is excellent in providing immediate response and information, which I think is extremely important in having that open line of communication, so residents feel attended to, listened to, heard, and know what's happening when an emergency arises. When possible, we can communicate that. So we know you've been busy around here. We love to see you, hopefully in better circumstances moving forward. But we very much appreciate the service the City of Doral is receiving from your department. And we look forward to having that additional service station soon, because hopefully we can improve some of those response times, because we know every second saves a life. So thank you very much for your efforts and for your leadership in the department. And we're very lucky to have you all.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the kind words. And again, really do appreciate working, side by side by most of you here during the fire and, through many others. We look forward to the 20-year celebration, I believe in August.
Yes.
So look forward to it. So.
Yes, and we had your gentleman out there this week too on Saturday at our 20-year celebration at the park on June 10th.
Yes.
So thank you very much again for your continued efforts to get out into the community, because that's a big part of what we love to see and do, and your department definitely does that alongside us. So thank you very much for being a great representation of the service of the City of Doral. I don't know if my colleagues have any additional comments or questions.
Just want to say thank you, and ditto what
yes.
our mayor said. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other Councilwoman Porras?
Yeah, again, thank you. And, thank you for your leadership as well. I mean, we all saw you in action, for better or for worse, but we know the type of service and the type of commitment that you and your team and the entire fire department have. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yes, Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Thank you. Just want to add something. We can say proudly that we have the best fire department, not only in the state, but actually nationwide, because I know you guys always get the call if something happens in another state. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Really do appreciate it. And again, thank you all, and look forward to seeing you soon.
If I may, thank you so much.
Oh.
Thank you for everything, because I know that you were fighting there day to night. It goes beyond your duties, so it's really a vocation of service. So I really appreciate it, and I know that all the residents as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And many blessings to you and the entire department.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. You can count on our support always. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Madam Clerk, we can continue.
We're now going into the public hearing items. First reading, item 21A, ordinance number 2023-17, enhancing litter penalties. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, amending Division 1 of Article 2, littering in Chapter 20, Environment, to revise the penalties set forth in Section 20-19, titled Throwing Litter in Public Places, Possession of Glass or Metal Containers in Public Parks, Sweeping or Throwing Litter in Gutters, Garbage Containers Required for the Takeout Restaurants, Civil Fines for Violation of the City of Doral's Code of Ordinances, Providing for Conflicts, Incorporation into the Code, Severability, and an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm going to open up the public comments portion for this item. This is a public hearing item. Public comments are now open. If you would like to speak on item 21A, enhancing littering penalties, please come forward now and speak at the microphone. You have 3 minutes. Being no comments, we will close the public comments portion. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that no one has chosen to speak at this time on this item. Vice Mayor Pinedo, this is your item.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this item is to request an increase to the fines for violation of littering that is included in Chapter 20, Article 2. By doing so, we aim to send a strong message that littering will not be tolerated in our city, and those who disregard our environment will face significant consequences. As you can see, what I'm proposing, which will be similar to other municipalities, is the current fine that we have for the first offense is $100 and has been like that for years, and the city manager can correct me if I'm wrong. And will be raised to $1,000 from $100. Second offense is currently at $250 and will be raised to $2,000. And the third offense right now is $500 and will be raised to $3,000. The city of Miami Beach, for example, the first offense is $1,500 right now. Second offense is $2,500, and third offense is $3,500 in civil fines. So I believe that by doing this, we're certainly sending a strong message out there in regards to littering, since it has been a concern that has been brought by many residents. Unfortunately, something that is happening more than ever in our community. We know that our population keeps increasing, more businesses as well. So I believe it's proper at this time to go ahead and send the message out that certainly we're not going to tolerate that here in the city. And I also would like to include, through the city manager, obviously, depending on what happens after we take the vote, is to include an educational campaign as well, because I think it's important for residents to understand the consequences of doing something like this. And I think that the educational component has to be part of not just the amendment, but at the same time, as a city, I think that we should run that campaign to let everybody knows the consequences of doing this. So I hope to count with the support of my colleagues.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any questions or comments from the City Council?
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilman Porras. Second by Councilman Puig-Corve. Any additional comments or questions? No, I just would like to say thank you, Vice Mayor, for bringing this forward. I think it's a great effort and continue to keep Doral beautiful and create awareness from our community that it will not be tolerated, that our city is not, it's not going to be your trash bin. So thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2023-17 on first reading made by Councilman Porras, seconded by Councilman Puig-Corve. Councilman Porras?
Yes.
Councilman Puig-Corve?
Yes.
Councilman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, move on to the second item.
Next item, item 21B, ordinance number 2023-18, use of the city logo. An ordinance of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, creating section 2-1.2 official city logo of Article 1 in general of Chapter 2 administration of the city's Code of Ordinances to establish guidelines for the use of the city's logo, providing for a repeal or severability, incorporation into the code, and an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will now open up the public comments portion of this item. Everything I said in the last one, I'm saying it again. If you would like to speak on this item, please come up and speak now. You have 3 minutes to speak on this item and this item alone. Being no comments, we will close the public comments portion of this item. Madam Clerk, please the record reflect that no one has chosen to speak on this item. And we will now turn it over to Councilwoman Porras. This is your item.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this item is to clarify the use of the city logo and also to codify it, because this was actually a resolution from 2013, so it wasn't included in the code. And I found that there were some vagueness in some of the language that the resolution had, and that's what the purpose of this is for.
Thank you, Councilwoman Porras. Any questions or comments from additional, Councilman Puig-Corbe, you have the floor.
Does the resolution include the logo in any type of print or even lapel pins, for instance?
That's a good question. And in fact, I wanted to add something to that.
Yes.
Under D, let me see, D, it would be number 8, to include the use of the logo for promotional items and banners.
Thank you.
It would be allowing
Support
for
this
it.
item.
For, okay, right, because this is the logo, not the seal. Very important to distinguish.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So
Motion
we'll
to approve.
make that change from first to second reading.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the table by Councilman Oscar Puig-Corbe and second by Vice Mayor Pinedo.
I have some questions, but I don't know if I should ask you directly because this is your item, or if I have to direct it to the city manager. Any other questions?
Either one. I'll defer if I don't know the answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just want some clarifications. And this is great that you were able to review it and bring it, because as you said, there's a few things that were not really stated, even though I know that every time we need to use the logo, we always ask the city manager, for them to approve for us to use it, so we will not do any violations or anything with it. So this is great that you were able to bring this and add. But when I was doing my review, one of the things that the city attorney confirmed is that also include for educational institutions, and I just wanted that to be defined. So I don't know if it will be you or it will be the city attorney, or I don't know, who should I?
You said educational institutions?
Mm-hmm.
Like schools?
Correct. So what was added that was not included in the resolution but was added as part of this ordinance is under section D, that's use of the city logo by city officials and employees without council approval. And it delineates those that don't require council approval. So obviously that would be city events and programs, regular business activities, council member communications, and the like. And what was added was for those that are city partnerships with government agencies and public educational institutions. So that would be your Miami-Dade public schools, your public universities. Those would be able to be approved administratively to use the logo without council approval.
Okay. And I would like to ask Councilwoman Porras if also we can include there that any events that will be using the logo, all the council members will be also, whatever event that they will have will be also placed in our calendars, so as a whole too, and if that's okay with you. And also I would like to add that if we have any approval when it comes to, especially in the educational part, so everything will be clear, because I know our city manager, it is the one that might approve, with the council as well. But to not have any conflict of interest or anything like that, because I know that her husband is the district representative, I would like to also add our city attorney that will be part of that body also to approve.
So make sure I understand the question or the request. So currently, it does not require council approval for it to be through an educational facility. I'm sorry, for an educational institution. So generally, it would come from Miami-Dade County, the entity. It wouldn't come from the individual school board member. But in the event that it does come from a school board member, the manager does not approve those items. So for example, when recently came for use of the city facility, that came through council for mayor's approval. So that, and signature. So just to be clear, there would be no conflict.
Yeah,
The
wanted to
manager does not
clarify.
execute anything that would come from that school board member.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, so I will have all my questions answered. So if it is okay with you, we can also add that, it will be placed in our calendars as well every time the logo is used for any event.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that the events, also recognitions, proclamations, or by charter, I think, are supposed to be sent out
Yeah,
for
it has to.
everyone.
Yeah, it has to, yeah.
Thank you.
So motion to approve?
There's already a
there's
motion
already
on the
a
table
motion,
and a
so second?
second. Does that conclude your
Second?
comments?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
done.
there's already a motion and a second. Thank you. So I'm comfortable moving forward with the item the way it is, because one of the things that is stated here is that we can use the logo in our official capacities, and sometimes we do things in our official capacity outside that doesn't necessarily go on everybody's calendar because we're doing it on our own. So I'm comfortable moving forward the way it is. There's already policy that exists that all official city events that are using the use of the city logo go on our calendar. So I think that that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, with adding the number 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And number 10 to that item.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
To the promotional items.
Yes.
That would be the
Promotional
only
items and
additional-
banners.
Yeah, that would be the only change from first to second reading. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I have motion to approve ordinance number 2023-18 on first reading, amending it to allow the use of the logo for promotional items and banners. Made by Councilwoman Puig Corvée, seconded by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Councilwoman Puig Corvée?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo? Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item C.
Item 21C, ordinance number 2023-19, amending municipal sponsorships. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, amending Section 2-79, Municipal Sponsorships, Division 3, Rules of Procedure, Article 2, City Council, Chapter 2, Administration of the City's Code of Ordinances, to provide clarifying language with respect to scope of municipal sponsorships, increasing the available funds for sponsorships, revising the procedures for council approval, and clarifying the definitions and language contained therein, providing for a repeal or severability and incorporation into the code and an effective date.
We're opening public comments for this public hearing item. Please come forward if you'd like to speak on this item, item 21C. Seeing no comments, we will close the public comments portion for this item. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that no one has chosen to speak on item 21C. And I will now turn it over to Councilwoman Porras. This is also your item.
Thank you, Mayor. So this item is also to clarify and also revise the municipal sponsorship procedures. And it's really with the intent to allow for greater participation by the council and allow the council to be more involved and active in events occurring within the city. So things like sponsoring, hosting, and presenting events by individual council members is actually a very common practice in other cities, including some of our neighboring cities like Medley, Sweetwater, Miramar, Miami Gardens, just to name a few. So the ordinance maintains all the important requirements, including that the sponsorship before events and programs that are consistent with the city's goals, and that disbursement of the funds, very importantly, be approved by the city council. The significant changes that are within this ordinance are, of course, an increase from our current $1,000 allotted funds to $5,000 allotted to each council member to sponsor programs. And then 2 would be identifying the sponsor on events and promotional materials so that it is known which council member is the one that's sponsoring the event or making that donation. And 3, adopting single sponsorship guidelines to avoid potential improper or abusive requests. And this is really just, a safeguard, a protection to avoid council members or the mayors to feel an obligation to donate or feel pressured to also contribute if one council member has contributed. So that's really a safeguard to protect us and also protect the potential applicant from any appearance of impropriety. And I think those are the main changes, and you have the ordinance in front of you, so.
Okay. Is there any additional questions or comments? Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Councilwoman Porras for bringing this forward. I'll be supportive of the item, but I just want to ask in regards to, I know we're talking about sponsorship guidelines, are we going to consider, for example, to set like a minimum amount, let's say $1,000, $500? I mean, but because what I don't see probably happening is, what about if someone comes and asks for $100?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to maybe go through the whole administrative process that, well, not us, the city manager and the administration might have to go through. So if we can set maybe like a minimum amount for.
Would 250 be a good number? Because some of these are small events that may not, require 500.
My understanding when I didn't.
Madam Councilwoman, let's let Vice Mayor finish and then just write down your questions because I don't want to go back and forth. Let's allow him to finish and then we'll take your question. Okay, you'll be next.
Do we have that right now as part of the $1,000 that we're allowed? No.
No, there's no minimum donation requirement.
Okay.
I would like to add that I actually, looking back at the ordinance, I want to add that this would exclude special events.
Okay.
So that, that way they're not monopolized. They're big events and it should be the entire city, quote unquote, sponsoring it.
I place a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Councilwoman Porras. Councilwoman Cabral, you have some questions.
Yes, I do.
Okay, please go ahead.
When I was doing the agenda review, my understanding is that it was going to be for 1,000 increase to 5,000 per office, no? So we're talking that it will be an increase of 400% right now within our capacity, what each of our office has. So I have an issue with that. And my number 2 issue is that on what I read there, the promotional advertising of the program or event by the city shall also reflect that the council member was a sponsor of the program or event. It is my belief that we do everything as a body, as a unified body. And this highlights of ourselves really goes for me within a conflict, especially that we're around the corner for election. So that will be my second concern. The third, I think what I was reading is that we might be waiving some of the fees for some of these events. And my concern is that many of our residents, when they have to celebrate a birthday in our parks, they all have to pay for a fee. And I think that is not right that we're going to be waiving for entities that are going to have events while we actually charge our residents when a 5-year-old is going to celebrate their birthday within our parks. So those are my 3 concerns. And I think that instead of allocating this money to us, to our office, we have all the different committees in our city where those committees, I was the chair for Park and Police for Kids, that even though it's a foundation, we always have to struggle to get funds. And I think that allocating better those funds to our committees, we have the environmental, we have the status of women, that they always are doing events, it's better and is also a way to say thank you to them because they actually take time of their time voluntarily to be part of these committees, and they're always looking to see how they can do and promote different events that benefits our city instead of us increasing 400% on each individual office. So my suggestion is to defer the item because I think that it should be looked into better, give to those committees that they work so hard without asking nothing in return. Like, for example, the military, they have come here in front of us, also asking for support, but I know that all of them wanted to do different things, and these are residents from our city that are giving their time. So that's my comment, my opinion within this item.
May I respond?
Yes, absolutely, Councilwoman Porrasco, go ahead.
So currently we are already waiving fees as a council. I mean, this really changes nothing other than helping us, individually make these contributions, and any donation or sponsorship will go to an event that is in furtherance of the city's goals. It's not going to be for a birthday party. And we currently also have money allocated to do this through the city, and the city manager can speak to more of this. Right now we have, in the last year, we had some money allocated for exactly this. Yeah.
That's exactly what we're saying. We do have, I know that $1,000, but we're increasing to 5, so that's a 400% increase.
Yeah, now they can come to the council members and we can have greater participation in that as opposed to just the city. And we are a body of elected officials where we have different talents, skills, and we should have a greater contribution, a direct contribution to events and sponsorships and things that are happening in the city. And it's, you may not want to do that, but some of us do want to have direct impact and participation in what happens here in our city.
I think that it should not be by taxpayers' money based on that, because we do have enough, at least for all the different entities that I have supported within the years that I've been honored to serve in my community.
Thank you, Councilman Cabral. Does that conclude your comments?
Yeah.
Yep. Councilman Porras?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilman Puig, you had some comments?
No, I'm fine. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, I have a couple of comments. First of all, I want to thank you, Councilwoman Porras, for bringing this item forward. I understand the spirit of which this item is coming forward. I do have some comments regarding some language that I think may be able to help clarify some of the concerns that can arise. And I understand where the spirit of this is coming from. So my question is in the difference between supporting an organization that comes forward in an effort to do an event that benefits the community versus, let's say, a luncheon, right? That's for an organization. What I don't want is for this to become that, because we do have funds for us to be able to go to events and provide our participation in organizations that do things generally good for our community, and we support those luncheons and those organizations through that avenue. And we have the benefit and the ability to be able to do that individually, or sometimes as a city, we purchase tables for those organizations. So I want to make sure that these two don't blur the lines of that, for the purposes of understanding that I think this particular item is in an effort to support certain organizations that are providing a benefit to the community, which is why I agree with Vice Mayor Pinedo's suggestion of putting a limit to it, because being that it says here that they can only come to one council member. So if you have an organization who's putting on an event and comes, and I happen to have $250 left in my account, and I say, I'm going to support you for $250, well, what's not to start a bidding war and say, well, I'm going to give you $1,000. And now one council member, you know what I'm saying? I don't want that to be a competition amongst all of us. I think the idea is for us to support these organizations as a body and together, but it can be your initiative. So, which I very much value. So my recommendation, and I think Vice Mayor alluded to that, would be, especially because this has to come before council, I really don't want to be approving $250 approvals, right? So I see this more, we also have our CBO grants. So they have the opportunity to apply through there for for these nonprofits. But I understand that there's some organizations, and necessarily don't have to be from Doral, but still do good things in our community. CBOs have to be from Doral, but still do good things in our community. I think that it's a great way for us to be able to support some of these organizations that are doing good community service outreach events in our city that we may want to support. As far as the part where it says that we can waive the fee for like the use of one of our facilities, that would come directly from that fee. So if we say there's a limit of 1,000, maximum 5,000, or there's no maximum, we come here and the council has to approve it. But if the limit is 1,000 and they want to utilize our Cultural Arts Center, let's say the $400 that we usually would charge a nonprofit would be deducted from that $1,000. So it's not like we do 1,000 plus the waiving of the fee. It would be from that fee. So we would do minus 400, they would get the difference of $600 to their organization in an effort to support that event. And it would be with the support of XYZ council member's office. I'm assuming that's kind of like where you want to go with
That's
it.
the idea.
That's the idea of it. Okay, so I have no problem with that. There's just a couple of language in this ordinance that I'd like to change to be able to get to where we need to get to in a way that doesn't create competition or the illusion of impropriety in that sense. There is one part here that does concern me that I would like to change, is that it says here in section, sorry, I'm trying to follow along here. An eligible applicant, this is nonprofit organizations. Item 1, 2, and 3. This is on page, I don't know why this is not like, no, I don't see it numbered correctly.
There's page
What
numbering
section is this?
At the top.
Yes, here we go.
D.
Page 5.
Yeah.
Page 5. where it says at the bottom, nonprofit organizations, qualifying nonprofit organizations that are incorporated as nonprofit charitable organizations as a tax exempt under section 501c3 and Internal Revenue Code. Okay, so that's fine. I start to hesitate a little bit where we get into neighborhood associations in accordance with 501c3 status. City recognized neighborhood associations may be eligible for sponsorship funds. Promoters of charitable civic events and eligible criteria. That starts to get a little bit iffy for me. I think that I would feel much more comfortable if we actually stated nonprofit organizations, 501c3s, and 501c6 organizations. They must have those two, no, only those two. So it would have to be that they're a 501c3 or 501c6. I would start to feel a little bit uncomfortable because what is a promoters of charitable and civic events?
Mayor.
So, and to your point on that, that was actually already in the code. She didn't add that. That was already there. She just left that there because I had.
Okay,
funny,
yeah.
I
So
had the
it
same
was
question.
it was there.
It was
So
already there.
if we're gonna
Yeah.
fix this, I would like to strike that and make it very clear that this would only be for 501c3s and 501c6s. So for example, for organizations that promote business activity, right? That we want to promote economic development and things like that. We want to participate in an event that may be taking place by a 501c6, I have no problem with us supporting that, like the Beacon Council, or I know that the councilwoman is part of Camacol. So those types of events, I think it's important that we have an opportunity to do that, as well as 501c3s, but I would want to limit it just to those when we're using the taxpayer fund. So I'd like to fix that in the code. And then, like I said, I would be more comfortable with having a minimum and a maximum so that it's for maximum effect. And then if maybe from first to second reading, you can work with the city attorney, I'm happy to do so as well, in really delegating or delineating here what is the, what would be the criteria for this sponsorship, right? Because again, I don't want to blur the lines between I'm going to a luncheon, so let me buy a ticket for a luncheon at one of these events, versus I'm sponsoring an event that's going to bring a benefit and add a benefit to my community. Does that make sense? Yep. We have already a budget that we can use to pay for luncheons that we go in our official capacity in representation of our city. Now, if there is maybe a seminar taking place for one of these organizations and we would like to purchase a part of the sponsorship or extra support to that organization is putting something in the program from your office saying, I support this, then you could use these funds to do that. So I would be okay with that. The other thing is to kind of accommodate to Councilwoman Cabrad's concerns about a 400% increase. We have a budget that is part of general fund where we use to sponsor, for example, Camacol used to get $10,000. Doralcam used to get $10,000. So maybe we can take some of those funds and move them into this area so that we're balancing out from one to the other.
And that's exactly what she was going towards,
Okay,
which I was going to
great.
answer. But
Yeah, so that way it's not, so basically we're not increasing the city's overall budget. We're just reallocating those funds to allow council's discretion with council approval as to how each of our offices can contribute more to certain concerns or events that may allow for more citizen engagement, participation, help. I know you come from the nonprofit world, and immigration is a concern, and there's a lot of need for information and resources on immigration in our community. So that may be something you want to align with. Mine has been education, and so that may be a great way for each of us to take some ownership over certain priorities in the community that our residents have addressed. Does that sound
That's
adequate
exactly
to you?
the idea. Yeah, there's, it isn't meant to have any overlap with the budget that we already have for events, and also, again, the funds are already allocated.
Right.
We're just reallocating them to the city council, as you mentioned, Mayor.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I have no problem with doing that. My only thing would be from first to second reading, we can change some of those? Or I don't know, do you want to?
Can I, yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna go through what I believe are the proposed
Perfect.
amendments, but is there consensus on what the minimum monetary donation is gonna be?
Do you understand the reason for the minimums and the
Right.
maximum? I just
So
think
you're
it's,
thinking 5?
500?
5?
yeah. I just don't want it to become like a bidding war between anybody and, the idea is to,
I mean, 500 is reasonable. And then a maximum.
well, I don't think you need a maximum. If
Okay.
you want to give one organization $5,000, that's on you.
5,000,
That's
right.
one organization we
Okay.
will support.
There should be a maximum because there is a rollover. So you should put a maximum on it.
Up to the 5,000 that you had.
I would say.
Oh, because
suggested.
the funds will roll over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then just put the max at 5,000.
5, yeah.
Okay, so just to review what I believe are the amendments, it's to exclude special events, to refine the criteria to ensure that things such as purchases of tables at events are excluded and just kind of fine tune that language, provide for a minimum monetary donation of $500 and a maximum of $5,000. Provide that the waiver of any rental fee goes towards that minimum allocation for that donation, and then revise the eligible applicants in subsection D so it only applies to 501c3s and 6s, and eliminating neighborhood associations and sponsors of promotional events.
Correct. Let me just make one more example so that it's easier for our residents to understand and for the council to feel that they can adequately support this. Councilman Puig brought an item forward recently where we waived the fees for like the Alzheimer's and the that would be something you could use this for. You can allocate for them $1,000 to support that event. It's your office doing it. You would. I just did one today for a Dominican organization. So which we basically that would be a contribution that I would make to be able to support this organization. That fee would be deducted from there. So it's no longer being taken from the city. It's being taken from each of the events or organizations that we would like to support from our office with the support of all of us, because at the end of the day, it has to come to council and be approved here. And we would hope that everybody participates in that activity within the city. So that's just to put it into terms of an example of how we would use this, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm glad we all, you understood, Councilman? Perfect. Okay, awesome. All right, so we have a motion on the table and a second with those changes. You have everything, Madam City Attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. So I will look at that when we bring it back for second reading. Between first and second reading, we can, circulate that and make sure that everybody is feeling, comfortable with what we're proposing. Madam Clerk?
I will make sure to get those changes.
So I'm sure you
Look
will.
at the video again.
I have motion
Whatever
to,
the city attorney says.
motion to approve ordinance number 2219 on first reading with the changes discussed, made by Vice Mayor Pinedo and seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral.
No.
Councilman Puig Corvée.
Yes.
Mayor Fraga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Okay,
All right.
moving on to second readings.
Second readings. Item 21D, ordinance number 2023-14, fiscal year 22-23 budget amendment. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, providing for an amendment increasing the general fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, park and fee budget for fiscal year 22-23, people's transportation plan fund budget for fiscal year 22-23, as reviewed, modified, and approved by the city council at the meetings held on May 10, 2023 and June 14, 2023, providing for transmittal by the city clerk, implementation, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. This was approved on first reading on May 10th.
Okay, we are now opening up public comments for this item. This is for 21D, second reading of the fiscal year 2022-23 budget amendment. Anybody coming up to speak for public comments, please do so now. You have 3 minutes to speak. Being no comments, we will close the public comments portion. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that no one has chosen to speak on item 21D. This is finances item. Madam City Manager?
Yeah, so there was an increase of $85,000, if I'm not mistaken, unless the CFO would like to come up and clarify, from park impact fees to finish the Morgan Levy, or start the Morgan Levy Park restroom renovations. That's the only changes from first to second reading. Other than that, it stayed the same.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, there is a motion on the table by Vice Mayor Pinero, second by Councilman Puig Corvée. Please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2023-14 on second reading, made by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilman Puig Corvée. Vice Mayor Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilman Puig Corvée?
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Next item, item 21E, ordinance number 2023-15, repealing ordinance 2021-02, retirement system for elected officials, and ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Broward, Florida, repealing ordinance number 2021-02, retroactive to the date of its adoption, repealing article systems for retired officials of chapter 2 of City of Broward Code of Ordinances, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, and providing for an effective date. This was approved on first reading on May 10th.
We are opening a public comment portion of this item, of this meeting. For this item, item 21E. Anyone coming to speak on this item, please come and do so now. You have 3 minutes to speak regarding the repealing ordinance 2021-02, retirement system for elected officials. Any public comments? Going once, going twice? We will close the public comments portion of this item, and we will now turn it over to the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor, Honorable Council. There were no changes between first and second reading. As you know, this is a full repeal retroactive to its inception.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Yes, Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just gonna reinstate what I have said before, and the fact that we have a lot of residents here today is what I had said before. Nothing has changed in the sense of that when this was presented by a legal opinion that we received, saying that since adoption, this didn't follow the Florida statutes. That was the reason of my vote. That was a decision that I took. I'm gonna certainly vote in favor again. And I hope the rest of my colleagues consider the same, because again, we're talking about, we hear sometimes about the use of public funds and what we're doing with the budget and all that, but again, it's public funds. And when you look at the numbers, and I'm gonna keep mentioning the numbers because numbers are numbers, and we do have the numbers. And whoever is out there that want to ask for the numbers is a public record. Is $355,000 a year for this year. That certainly, if you make the projection for the next 10 years, is over $3.5 million that we're saving to the city and that we're answering to the residents. So, again, we're always talking about fiscal responsibility, committees that then they don't have the resources. The previous council had the chance last year to approve money for committees, and that didn't happen. We're gonna make sure that that happens for the next fiscal year because we do support our committees. But again, I think that it will be irresponsible for me today to say something different of what I said last year, what I have been saying since the beginning of the year about how this certainly, in my humble opinion, should have been taken to the residents for a vote when this decision was made back in 2021. So, again, I hope that the rest of the council not only can, move forward on this, but at the same time, for those that had the benefit and that have been affected now by the decision, to understand that this is not personal. I think this is what we should do as an elected body, as an elected officials, for our residents, because as we like to hear often that there's no money for a specific area. Again, I would like to say that now we can have resources to sponsor, to increase programs in our parks department, to help our seniors program, to increase the police officer salary. I mean, there are a lot of things that we can do with $355,000 a year. And when we run for office, we don't run for office thinking about getting a paycheck for life every month, at least at the local level. You can hear the arguments that at the federal level they do it, but it's different. I mean, we're here to serve, and we do serve, and we get paid. and we get a retirement system while we're serving. I respect everybody that has served in the past that got the benefit of this program for X number of months. But again, they also got a benefit while they were serving, depending on the number of years. So again, I'm gonna place the motion to approve based on the fact that not only what was presented to us legally speaking by the legal experts, but at the same time, because I think it's the right thing to do for our residents. And I will keep saying it no matter what. And for those out there that are looking to challenge this, to understand that the challenge will not be against us. The challenge will be against the residents because they will have to answer to the residents, not to us, but to the residents. So keep that in mind. So I place the motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion on the table by Vice Mayor Pinedo, second by Councilman Porras. Is there any additional comments?
Yes.
Councilman Cabral.
Through the chair to the city attorney.
Madam City Attorney, are you prepared to respond? Thank you.
I understand that on the email that you sent us today regarding that we've been served, and I send you a few questions that for me are very important to understand. And you, as the person that should be giving us advice of how we should manage and understand all the rules and regulations and everything that is entitled, not just with this, but everything else, but focusing on the issue of the pension. I'm not going to bring all the questions into because I understand that within your email, what you said is that you will answer separately so we will not have the discussion in the process because you're in the process of reviewing them. But I just want to say that majority of my questions were just answered by that the decision is on the council. And I do understand that you don't want to discuss it here, and I'm not going to be bringing them. But I send you this email only to you, and I was expecting that you were going to be able to guide me. But I don't have any guidance when it comes to it. Within your response. So I just wanted to ask you if then later on, I don't know if it is that you need me to be with you in person and not by email, even though everything here is public, to answer my questions so I can have your legal opinion because that's why you're here. My understanding as a city attorney is to you to be able to guide me and to give me your legal opinion. So I will be able to know exactly how I have to proceed. Also, my understanding is that in order for this to be repealed within this, it has to be unanimous vote, no?
The ordinance provides that in order to amend the ordinance, it requires a unanimous vote, not to repeal it.
Not to repeal it, okay. Also, well, I will go then, I have other questions, but that's when we go to section B.
Does that conclude your comments, Council?
That conclude my comments.
Thank you very much. Madam City Attorney, would you like to respond to anything?
No, there's always an opportunity to discuss with me separately. Obviously, I'm not going to opine on pending litigation. We were served with a lawsuit. I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about the merits of the case. We have special counsel, pension counsel, that's available to all of you and was made available to you to discuss any questions or concerns you may have. And I remain available, of course, to answer your questions at the conclusion of the meeting.
Madam City Attorney, would you mind stating who is part of the lawsuit?
Yes, there are 4 named plaintiffs in the case. It is Pedro Cabrera, Sandra Ruiz, Juan Carlos Bermudez, and Michael DiPietro. So those 4 former elected officials have sued the city effective this afternoon.
For payment.
So the actual lawsuit that's currently pending, yes, is for payment of the pension benefits that were suspended by the administrative committee for the month of June.
Thank you very much for clarifying, Madam City Attorney. I'll keep my comments extremely brief. Did you have any comments, Councilman? No. Okay. I'll keep my comments extremely brief as I think we've exhausted conversation on this item. I feel very comfortable moving forward with the legal opinion we received. I think that this council took the proper steps to make the best decision possible with legal representation and to be fiscally responsible, but as well as to protect taxpayers of our community and do the ethical and appropriate thing, which is to move forward on repealing this retirement system that was approved in 2021. So I've made my comments very clear on the record as far as my opinion on how this happened and how I believe it was inappropriately moved on. So I think that the rest will leave it up to the legal system, as Vice Mayor Pinedo very well said. It's a judgment on the city of Doral residents. At the end of the day, it's very telling. So I'm ready to move forward on the item. I think there's a motion and a second, and the rest will be left up to the courts.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2023-15 on second reading made by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras.
Yes.
Councilman Puig Corvée.
No.
Councilwoman Cabral.
No.
Mayor Fraga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
You can't control the crowd. You can't control the crowd. You can't.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Can't control the.
ladies and gentlemen, please, let's be respectful. We're not done with our meeting. From now on, we clap like this, as we've learned in the county commission. Okay, Madam Clerk, last item on the agenda.
Madam Mayor,
no,
we're
we have two items. That's right. Yes, we moved. Yes,
We're
sorry.
actually going back to the consent item, item 6B, and I will read it into the record. A resolution, the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, authorizing specified former elected officials to participate in the city's health and life insurance plans at their sole cost and expense without financial contribution by the city, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
We will, I don't need to open up public comments for this one, right? No. Okay, all right. Any questions for the city attorney? Or the
Yeah,
city
I'll
attorney
just
would
go ahead
like
and
to make a
introduce
quick
it. So the
comment.
retirement plan that was just repealed included not only pension benefits, but also health insurance and life insurance payments. So by adopting this resolution, this will allow those former elected officials to remain on the city's health insurance plan. So they're not getting kicked off the health insurance. If you adopt this resolution, they'll remain on the insurance plan and their life insurance. However, it would be at their sole cost and expense. So the city will not be paying for their premiums any longer, but they will be able to remain on the plan if you adopt the resolution.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Any questions from my colleagues? No?
Through the chair to the city attorney. Just to understand, when it was then voted, their benefits were already taken, no? Away from all of it, no? Or was just a specific session?
This vote that just happened right now?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, I mean, I know that they were suspended since last time that we voted.
Yeah, so the administrative committee convened on May 1st,
Mhm.
and they voted to suspend the pension payments effective immediately, but the May payment had gone through, so really it's only the June payment that was suspended. However, with respect to the health insurance and the other insurances, they made that effective, the suspension, June 30th. So it would give them time and opportunity to find other insurance if they need, or to remain on the city's plan and just pay for their premiums.
Exactly. So June 30th was already, I mean, before when all the benefits were suspended.
June 30th hasn't happened yet.
No,
This
but
is
it's going to
June
be on
30th.
June 30th.
Correct.
That is going to be suspended, I mean, without having this resolution in place. Let's say we don't have this resolution in place, anyway, that benefit would be already done from now for June.
Correct. Without this resolution, then they would be given COBRA. So they would be
Oh,
given the option to get on COBRA just like any other separated employee. So they
Oh,
would be
that's-
given an opportunity to opt into COBRA.
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't pass this resolution.
Yeah, anyway, I'm just asking because I don't understand, for what we actually have this resolution, because even though the cost of COBRA, they have to cover 100%, it's not that we're contributing anything anyway after the June 30th.
That is correct. But without this resolution, they would get kicked off the city's health insurance plan. Because the only reason they're on the city's health insurance plan is because of that retirement plan ordinance. So with the repeal of that ordinance, all of those benefits go away, including participation in the city's plan. So this will allow them to continue on the city's plan just at their own cost.
Until
Which is
June.
better than COBRA.
Which is better than COBRA.
The COBRA, yeah, that they pay for COBRA. Everybody pays for COBRA full coverage.
Okay, thank you very much. Any additional questions? No? No? Okay. Any other questions from the council? No? Okay, Madam, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Porras, second by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilwoman Porras, seconded by Vice Mayor Pinedo. Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilman Puig Corvée?
No.
Councilwoman Cabral?
No?
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, last item on the agenda.
Yes, Madam Mayor. We now go to item 21F. Ordinance number 2023-16, extension of IA as the Office of Charter Enforcement, and ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Broward, Florida, amending Article 7 of the city's Code of Ordinance entitled Code of Ethics by creating Section 2-399 entitled Charter Enforcement and delegating to the Internal Affairs Unit of the City of Broward Police Department the responsibility for overseeing the investigation of complaints brought against the City Council, charter officials, city employees, and individuals doing business with the city for misconduct and violations of the city charter, providing for solubility, conflicts, and an effective date. This was approved on first reading on May 10th.
The public comment portion of this item is now open. If anybody would like to come and speak on item 21F, extension to the IA Office of Charter Enforcement, please come and do so at this time. Being no public comments, we'll close the public comments. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that no one has chosen to speak on item 21F. We will now
Motion
turn this
to
over
approve.
to the city. Well, there's a motion to approve by Vice Mayor Pinedo.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Porras, and we will turn over to City Attorney for a quick moment.
Yes, there's no changes between first and second reading. I'm still trying to work with Mr. Rosen to see if we can coordinate a meeting to get some finality to whether he'll be able to proceed. But until such time, we need this ordinance in effect.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam City Attorney. Madam Clerk, any other questions?
Yes, through the chair to the city attorney. Could you please elaborate how we're going to make sure that the charter enforcement, this person is going to be an employee of the city? How are we going to make sure that there will be no conflict, him being able to enforce that when he is a city employee?
Interestingly, under the charter provision, it even provides that the charter enforcement official would be under an employment contract. So under any circumstance, whether it's a city employee, through the police department, or it's a charter enforcement official as envisioned by the specific charter provisions, they would still be an employee. So they're still obligated, they have an ethical obligation and a fiduciary duty to perform in conformance with the charter and to be independent.
Any additional questions? No. No. Madam City Attorney, can you confirm that this was the same ordinance that was approved back in 2017, I believe, and was in place, or 2016, and was in place for, I think, 2 years?
Correct. This is identical to what was adopted in 2018 and then readopted again in 2021.
Wasn't there a charter review that changed? There was a charter review that changed
Correct,
how,
but there's
how it was done.
there's still this ordinance was put in place because at the time the charter could not be complied with, and so we're in the same predicament right now where we can't comply with the charter based on the process that already took place. So we're waiting for the gentleman who was basically proposed or selected by the committee to accept being under an employment agreement as per the charter. Otherwise, we're still in violation of the charter. So we're asking for him to do that. He has not come back and offered whether he would be willing to do that or not. So we find ourselves where we can't comply with the charter once again. So we're basically putting in place the same ordinance that we put in place in 2016 so that we could try and find a way to cure the violation of the charter until we're able to find someone who will take on that employment agreement. We also have to come up with how much we're going to pay. Right now, we're not even funded for the amount that we would need to pay for that. So until we can come into compliance with the charter, it's better to have something than nothing, which is what we did in 2017. Unless we change the charter
Wasn't here in
again.
2017, but
So that's the reason for this ordinance, and it was in place for 2 years.
Yeah, just
or 3
to clarify. So it was actually, it's ordinance number 2018-25. It was adopted though in 2019. The charter was amended in 2020, so subsequent to that ordinance, but even after the charter amendment to fix all those issues, they still had that ordinance in place in 2021, which was renewed several times since
And in
then.
2022. It sunsetted when they made the recommendation, but then nothing ever happened with the person that so we're to make sure we're at least in an effort to cure the issue, We've brought this ordinance back as it was in place during the entire time that we were basically not able to comply with the charter until we're able to comply with the charter. And we may have to amend the charter again if we can't find someone to take on the requirements of the charter. So that's where we are today. And that's why we've decided to bring this back. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2023-16 on second reading made by Vice Mayor Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Porras. Vice Mayor Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Porras?
Yes.
Councilman Puig Corvée?
No.
Councilwoman Cabral?
No.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. Wishing everybody a happy Father's Day, or all the fathers, uncles, grandfathers out there, another happy Father's Day. Thank you for joining us today. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Vice Mayor Pinedo, second by Councilman Puig. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned.